Two teams separated by a 14-mile stretch of Highway 90. Programs that know each other very well, playing for the second time this season. But this time around, the TAPS Division IV state championship hangs in the balance. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside the broadcast booth once again for the final time this weekend here at Panther Stadium in Hewitt, Texas. Mike Leslie joined by Matt Tarbutton, Gabe Duarte, and Larry Thexton for the Division IV state championship game in the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools. Sacred Heart 7-6 on the year, taking on St. Paul 9-3 on the season. The number 1 and number 2 teams out of District 3, gentlemen, teams that know each other real well and are accustomed to the way the other plays. We'll see who has the better of play this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. When these two teams come together, as he said, 15 minutes apart from each other, these kids grow up as Indians and as Cardinals and learning to not like each other. So you can kind of throw out the records, throw out what happened in the regular season. These guys are ready to play each other.
You talk about these schools not liking each other. I came across a couple of the parents and even some of the sisters and brothers of some of the players as they were making their way into the building earlier today. And one of them made sure to say, hey, don't try and act like we like each other. There's some distaste for one another on either side of this rivalry. These teams know each other well, and the players certainly know each other well as well. You talk about throwing out what happened in the regular season, and I would tend to agree that you can, but we will at least reference it, a 21-14 win for St. Paul back on November the 1st, a game that was tied at 14 at halftime. And according to Sacred Heart's head coach Manny Freeland, he felt like they made a mistake by trying to throw the football as much as they did in that second half. He said if he had it to do all over again, he would have tried to run the ball more and be a little bit more with their bread and butter, and you figure we'll see more of that tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be my style of football. This is going to be my style of football. I've been waiting all weekend for this game. We live by us coaches that run the ball. When you throw the ball, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. And we're going to see teams run the ball tonight. We're going to see Matt RPO football. Been waiting for this all week, and that's run people over. And I'm excited about this because you got 2 great programs, 2 of the most feared names in TAPS going against each other tonight. This is going to be awesome.
You know, I had the opportunity to speak with the principals of each of these schools prior to kickoff, and one of them said to me, hey, you know, we're neighbors. We wanted to meet right in the middle of a pasture and just duke this thing out. So like you said, they know each other. Should be a lot of fun. These guys, you know, small schools and small towns, the whole community is here. They're the heart and soul of these communities, and it's just going to be a great night of football.
Panther Stadium here in Hewitt, a rather gleaming pasture behind us, and this will be the home site for the TAPS Division IV state championship game in just about 12 minutes' time. Shiner St. Paul, of course, the defending state champion in TAPS Division IV, last year knocking off Lake Country Christian in the title game and beating this Sacred Heart team in the semifinals to get to the championship game. They're trying to repeat as state champs.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night to see what St. Paul is able to do. Obviously, as we said, with them being so close and with them being natural rivals, you can throw stuff out. But, you know, St. Paul does have that, hey, you know, we're trying to defend. We're trying to win this title again. And then you've got, you know, Hallettsville on the other side says, we want this title. Mm-hmm. If we're going to take it from anybody, let's take it from St. Paul.
Just about time for the pregame prayer and national anthem down on the football field. So we'll bring you guys down to the field at this time and let you guys enjoy the pregame festivities here at Panther Stadium.
Each one of us the courage to play this game in a manner which by our words and our actions is pleasing to you. Let us enter into this competition in a spirit of sportsmanship and with a respect for the members of the opposing team. We ask you, Father, to bless each one of us, especially the coaches, officials, parents, and players. Keep us under the protection of your Son, Jesus Christ, and help us be aware of his presence with us in this game. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of the colors presented this evening by our color guard from the Junior ROTC Battalion of Midway High School. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in recognition of Pearl Harbor Day, let's remember those who served and those who are serving as we hear the national anthem to be sung this evening by Darby Johnson and Riley Johnson, alumni of St. Paul High School.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Kickoff of the final game of the weekend, the Division IV TAP State Championship. 7-6 Sacred Heart and 9-3 Shiner St. Paul. Sacred Heart guys started this season 2-5, had to forfeit a football game because they didn't have enough bodies to play earlier on this season. Got healthy, rebounded from all of that, and since that 2-5 start, their only loss the rest of the season was that 21-14 loss to this Shiner St. Paul Cardinals football team. An opportunity to exact a little revenge for that loss and finish off what would be a rather remarkable run from 2-5 to a state championship.
Yeah, they played Munster Sacred Heart last week. Head coach Dale Schilling said it was the most physical football team he had played all year. They got healthy right at the right time. Munster, I think at the time, was undefeated, was on a roll, and they just couldn't get anything going against these guys. So I'm curious to see how physical they are, because I know Dale Schilling's football team up there in Munster, they're a very physical football team, so this is going to be fun.
Captains for today, first for Sacred Heart, Dalton Grumman, Lane Leopold, Derek Yannick, and Blake Shimmick. And for Shiner St. Paul, Atlee Pilot, Carson Reese, Luke Darshilek, Matthew Malinowski, and Weston Geiger. Bernard Gray, the referee and crew chief this evening, out at center field, ready to toss the coin, and we are just minutes away from kickoff in the Division IV state championship game. Players to watch tonight for Sacred Heart, their linebacker and offensive lineman Derek Yannick. Zero hesitation, guys, from their head coach, Manny Freeland, assigning Yannick as his most talented football player. Makes a big difference for this team on the defensive side of the ball and he steers the offensive line. He makes it work on the offensive line. Meanwhile, for St. Paul, their running back and linebacker, Carson Reese, certainly the leader of the defense and part of a four-headed monster in their run game. We see from Bernard Gray that St. Paul in their red uniforms won the toss and deferred, so it will be Sacred Heart football to begin the second half. To begin the first half.
Good luck, gentlemen. Shake hands. Let's have a good game.
After Thursday and Friday here at Panther Stadium, saw an awful lot of wind, rather docile conditions here on the final day of the TAP State Championship weekend. So the end of the field, less important over the course of this day, both for the D3 and D4 state championship games. But it will be Shiner St. Paul to kick the football away, Sacred Heart, with the first opportunity to have the football on the offensive side.
Yeah, there's bragging rights, Matt, on the line. both these parishes will be talking about this tomorrow in their services. This is a big game. They're going to settle this argument for a state championship.
Absolutely, and that's the best way you want to do it. I mean, obviously, play during the regular season. Sometimes you meet early in the playoffs, but, for this year, for both of these teams to be able to meet in the finals and really kind of put those bragging rights to rest for a good 6 or 7 months, at least in football, it's definitely the way you want to end it.
And there's so much history between these two schools. I mean, just when you think private school football in the state of Texas, I think of Pat Henke and his run that he had at Hallettsville, and then Jake Waxsmith right now is I consider him one of the best coaches in high school football. I have no hesitation putting their names right up there with Gordon Wood. These guys were that good.
Oh, yeah, they've been in private school for a long time, been in these schools for a long time, and here's the crazy thing. You look at how long these schools have been in their communities, they were around longer than the public school wars in half the state.
Yeah, 100-plus years. If these guys were coaching at public schools, every high school football coach in the state of Texas would know Jake Waxsmith.
Not sure what the delay is here. They were lined up and ready to kick the football off, but now both teams have returned to the sidelines.
Mike, they're making the announcement that we are live on the internet. I don't think there's anybody in Hallettsville or Shiner to watch it, so I hope that they told their friends and family around the country, and I hope a lot of people tuned in from Texas, but both towns are here.
9,000 seat capacity here at Panther Stadium in Hewitt. Certainly not full capacity here, but a decent crowd on both sides. Both teams making the journey up. These two schools separated by just 14 miles. Basically smack dab in the middle of San Antonio and Houston, where these two schools are located.
Are we waiting right up until 7 to actually do the kick?
Certainly seems possible. It's 6:58 right now. It's the only potential explanation I can come up with as to why we don't have teams on the field and kickoff at the moment.
It's an eerie calm before the storm.
Larry, you mentioned Coach Henke at Sacred Heart, 42 years during his tenure here at Sacred Heart, but since he left, this is now their 4th head coach in 4 years. Brad Wright came in for a year, just wasn't a full fit. Last year they had an interim head coach who's now the defensive coordinator, Rick Mossick, and this year Manny Freeland has taken over in his first year as the head coach of this Sacred Heart football team, and clearly things are working for them this year as they're playing for a state championship, but a little bit of tumult over the last 4 years for this program.
Yeah, tough shoes to follow. I had an opportunity to coach against Coach Henke back in 2008 and 2009. We ran into Hallettsville in the state quarterfinals, and I knew right away if I had a football team that looked like Hallettsville Sacred Heart, we would have a chance to win a state championship. Everything he did, they just played power football and flew all over the field. Big shoes to fill, but Coach Freeland's got them playing physical, tough football, and they're right where they belong. It's great in Division IV when you've got Sacred Heart or Shiner playing in a state championship game. Now you got them both here. Outstanding.
You mentioned the longevity of these schools. St. Paul has been around since 1897, Sacred Heart since 1882.
Yeah, Coach Henke probably played on the 1884 team.
Let the record show, Coach, if you're out there watching, that was Larry Thexton that made that comment.
Love you, Coach Henke. You're still one of my heroes.
As we have hit 7 o'clock on the dot, and now it is time for kickoff. Meanwhile, on the opposite sideline is Jake Waxsmith, coaching in the state title game for the 3rd year in 4 seasons. Kickoff, and we are underway in a bobbled kickoff right at the 20-yard line, but on top of it, and now with an awful lot of running room up the near sideline, comes Dalton Grumman across midfield, and a very good start for Sacred Heart.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're an Indian fan, that's definitely the way you want to start. Get yourself good field position, able to start a good first drive here. It's easily the best way to start a game is set it with the tone, and obviously Sacred Heart wants to come out and do that, and they did it great with the first play.
Matt, I had an assistant coach one time. He was convinced if you bobble the kickoff, you're going to get a better kickoff return because it throws off their timing, and he wanted to make that a set play. I'm not so sure there's some wisdom there.
They end up with it at the 43-yard line and a handoff up the middle for Corbin Caney. Pickup of 2, get you the starters for Sacred Heart's offense. The Indians, 11 starters on offense, almost to a man, the same 11 starters on the defensive side of the ball. There is one man that's different, and that is it. Offensive line left to right, Nolan Stefik, Blake Shimmick, Blake Roeder, Derek Yannick, and Josh Stefik. Austin Kutak, the quarterback, Lane Leopold, their starting running back, and a 4-wide receiver set that they'll also rotate into the backfield quite a bit, each of these 4 players, as the handoff goes to Leopold here on 2nd down and 8, and he picks up a yard. Corbin Caney, Trenton Kratz, Miles Makachek, and Dalton Grommen. Pickup of a yard, it'll be 3rd and 7.
Old-fashioned Iron Man football. You're playing kickoff team, kickoff return, extra point, offense, defense. It's the way it should be.
Meanwhile, for St. Paul, the Cardinals defense, Ted Mahachik, Weston Geiger, James Fikach, Luke Darshalek, their defensive line, as on 3rd and 7. This time, Austin Kutak's going to keep it himself, fighting forward and to the 35-yard line. He'll be short, and it will be 4th down, potentially 4-down territory here at the 35. It'll be 4th and 2. Linebackers for St. Paul, Atlee Pilot, Carson Reese, and Noah Bedecker. And then the 4 secondary players, Kai Giese, Gerard Nunez, Zach Johnson, and Cade Davis. As Austin Kutak and the Sacred Heart offense are going to stay out on the field here, guys, and go for it on 4th down and 2.
And keep your eyes on the defensive tackle, number 75, Weston Geiger. He is a load down there, and he's been involved in 2 out of 3 of these plays already.
Yeah, you're probably going to see quite a bit of these teams go for it on 4th down, especially if they're 3 or 4 or less.
It's going to be Kutak out of shotgun. Handoff up the left-hand side. Lots of running room. A 1st down easily for Lane Leopold, and he's down to the 22.
It was a beautiful push and seal on that left side. They got everybody sealed inside and then got the lead running back up and just followed him. Great run play. Great design, great call.
Mark it at the 21, in fact, and it's 1st and 10. And again, they'll hand to Leopold, this time stacked up. Maybe a gain of 2 on the first play.
I think we've had, 5 or 6 plays, 5 or 6 runs. I think there's not going to be a whole lot of balance in both of these offenses, but obviously most of us up here in the booth are okay with seeing that.
Power running game from both of these 2 football teams, but they will go to the air here, and it's knocked away on 2nd down and 8. Kutak went to the right-hand side trying to find Trenton Kratz, and it's incomplete.
Cade Davis, the corner, number 4 there, got his hand on it just at the right time. Break it up.
You know, that's amazing. They haven't attempted a pass, yet the guy goes out and he's double covered. How did they have that? Just great call by D coordinator there. Hadn't attempted a pass, but yet they got double coverage. Must have known it was coming.
So 3rd down and 8. They were able to convert a 3rd and 8 on the previous set. See if they can have success here as Kutak's got 4 wide receivers. 2 to either side of the formation. He'll move Leopold behind him to the left, and now a flag as they have a delay of game. And 3rd and 8 will become 3rd and 13.
Did they get the timeout called in time?
The flag definitely dropped on the far side of the field. It looks like they will award them the timeout, only just barely. Bernard Gray, our referee and crew chief this evening. The umpire behind the play, Eric Horton, did drop the flag, but they award the timeout to Manny Freeland and his offense, so they'll have an opportunity here to, first of all, stick with 3rd and 8 and figure out what they want to do with this play.
I think with the few amount of passes that they throw, I think a timeout's probably going to be about the only time these clocks stop, unless obviously they run out of bounds. So I think we might kick off at 7, probably done by 8:30. So
after a long weekend of 7 football games here at Panther Stadium, I think there's a lot of TAPS employees that may be just fine with that eventuality if this game goes quickly. I think for the 4 of us, we've enjoyed this weekend, and for my money, give us a couple overtimes. I don't care. Kutak's going to keep it himself and carry across the 15, and he's going to have the 1st down to the 10.
That was a Very well-designed play. I thought he was running a quarterback sweep outside. Then I saw a lean blocker kick the edge player, and he cut up right up underneath it. Just a good run, good read, and now first and goal.
Put the ball right on the 10-yard stripe, and indeed it is first and goal for Austin Kutak and the Sacred Heart Indians offense. A back to either side of him in shotgun. He'll hand it off up the middle. It's Leopold. Lowers his shoulder into the pile and picks up maybe 3.
Middle linebacker number 22, Carson Reese, in on the stop for Shiner St. Paul.
That was a great fill. He shed off the lead blocker, and he went in and he made that tackle. That was a heck of a football play there for Carson.
Second and goal from the 7. As the clock clicks down to 8:15 in the first quarter here in the TAPS Division IV State Championship game. Handoff up the middle once again in the hands of Will Harper. This time nowhere to go. No gain. It'll be third and goal.
Shiner did a great job right there. They double blitz C-gap both ways. They're just selling out on the run, sent both those outside linebackers inside, and just a nice fit and able to stuff it for little to nothing there.
Anybody want to take a guess on if this is going to be a pass or a run? If I was a betting man, I'd say it's one of the either. I don't know.
Ball sits at the 6. They've already converted on a couple of third down and medium to longish situations. One time it took them fourth down to convert. Second time they ran it on 3rd and 8 and converted. See what they do on 3rd and goal here from the 6. It's going to be Kutak trying to keep it himself. Can he get to the pylon? Lowers his shoulder, reaches the football out. They say he's short by a half a yard.
That's a gutsy run there by the quarterback, but he showed some grit trying to go in there and get the touchdown.
And watch Cade Davis close here on this play, number 4. Comes all the way across the field just in time.
He reached the football out, but the line judge on the far side said he stepped out of bounds before that.
Yeah, if they don't get in here, Cade just saved the touchdown with that tackle. If they don't get in here, that was a heck of a play. Way to get his head across and make sure that he didn't cross that line.
4th and goal from the 1. Kutak hands it off up the middle, lowering his shoulder and into the end zone goes Lade Leopold. Touchdown. On 4th and goal, the Indians find pay dirt for the first time today.
That was an excellent play. They've been running it quite a few times, but, you know, the old saying as it goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Extra point up and through, and it's 7-0. 7:15 on the clock here, quarter number 1. And Sacred Heart out of Hallettsville strikes first.
And they were able to milk about 5 minutes off the clock. Over under on how many possessions in the first half for each team?
I'll say 3.
3, okay.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over there. They might go 4.
4 each. All right.
I was thinking probably 4 total, but I don't know. It's going to be a good game no matter what.
Listen, 4 total is possible. They just ate up a little more than a third of this first quarter on the opening touchdown drive of the game.
And they only had to go about 40 yards. So, you know,
that's a good point.
That's a good point, yeah.
If somebody has to go 75, might be like, well, or if somebody gets put back at their 10, it's like,
Yeah, this is like Christmas because now you get to watch Shiner's offense, and they're going to run the ball. They do it a little bit different way, and it's just fun to watch both these run-oriented offenses, how they get it done on the ground and the different ways that they do it. This is Christmas on December 7th.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you look at it with the way the spread offense rules the game nowadays, to see these two kind of teams in the state title, it's awesome.
Straight on kickoff from Josh Stefik. And here comes Shiner St. Paul. The ball's out, and
Wow.
Sacred Heart's on top of it.
Wow.
What a play at the 25-yard line by Dalton Grumman. Ripped the ball loose, popped on top of it, and it's Indians football.
Another short field here for Sacred Heart. Let's see if they can punch it in for another touchdown. That would be huge, especially when last time these two teams played, it was 14 all at halftime.
A note to our Midway ISD AV program, Caleb Overstreet and Tanya Lacey running the show for us with all the pictures that you're seeing here on TAPS TV. Maybe save that replay if we can come back to it after this play as Kutak runs to the right-hand side, and they're going to have back-to-back possessions here for this Sacred Heart Indians offense. That was an absolutely sensational play by Dalton Grauman.
Grauman ripped it out like it owed him money.
Corbin Caney, it looked like, was involved in the play as well, but it was definitely Grauman who got a hand on the football and popped it loose and then also jumped on top of it.
This is a rivalry game. Turnovers are very, very important. So it's 1-0 right now in the turnover battle for Hallettsville.
Running room here for Lane Leopold as he steps through the line and doesn't get much farther. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Shiner was trying to blitz up the middle there. Excellent blocking up front by the Indian offensive line. Excellent job moving them out of the way and finding their running back hole.
Man, I'm going to go back and watch these games as when I get some free time. I really believe as we watch the lower classifications, tackling is really, really good. These Division II, Division III, and now looking at Division IV, there's some great tackling going on.
3rd down and 7, and St. Paul needs to find a tackle here. Throw it over the right-hand side, and it's incomplete, in and out of the hands of his intended target. Will Harper couldn't squeeze it, and it'll be 4th down and 7 now.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you that the tackling here at the Division III, Division IV, as we're playing right now, it is much improved from some of the bigger classifications. Not saying that there's not people in those classifications that can tackle, but when you look at these kids, tough, hard-nosed, physical kids, they're going to bring it.
Gerard Nunez brought it there on that 3rd down pass attempt. He was the one who knocked the ball loose. They'd made a switch earlier this season from linebacker to safety, and now they're going to try a 39-yard field goal, and it's going to come up woefully short. Josh Stefik, a straight-on kicker. Twice today, fellas, now we've seen straight-on toe kickers. I can't tell you the last time I saw one before today, but 2, one in the Division III game, and now Josh Stefik here in the Division IV game. But Stefik comes up short on the 39-yard attempt.
The head coach for Shiner, his dad, Coach Waxman's dad, is on the headsets up in the booth somewhere, and I can hear him just right now after that fumble. Relax, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Relax, calm down. Lots of good advice there.
The defense makes that stand up as they get the ball back off the missed field goal, and now here they go in the running game. Handoff and up the left sideline. An awful lot of room for Zach Johnson across the 45 and down to the 41.
And number 5 for Shiner, Gerard Nunez. Watch this. He lays not 1 but 2 blocks on that run and probably about another 10 yards at least.
That's a staple of Shiner football right there. The fullback hitting it hard on that quick dive. Man, it's a beautiful football play.
Zach Johnson, part of a 4-headed monster in the backfield for St. Paul. Kai Giese, the quarterback, Carson Reese, Noah Bedecker, and Zach Johnson, a 3 running back set for the Cardinals. Gerard Nunez, their starting wide receiver, and here comes Giese, and he's gonna run it himself. He's got a lot of blocks in front, and he's gonna try and get to the corner. Run out of bounds inside the 20 at the 16. And a quick start here for St. Paul. Once their offense finally has gotten the football, they've been very effective with it. Finish off the starters for the Cardinals, their offensive line left to right. Matthew Malinowski, James Fekoch, Luke Darshilek, James Mahachik, and Weston Geiger, and their tight end, Atlee Pilot. Sacred Heart defense, their front 4, Brennan Kanya, Blake Shimmick, Nolan Stefik, and Josh Stefik. Get to the linebackers and DBs after this play. 1st and 10 at the 16. Giese from under center, rolling to the far side again. He's going to look to run. He's across the 15, inside the 10, trying to get to the corner, lowering his shoulder. Very nearly a touchdown, but out of bounds at the 2. And it'll be 1st and goal. Sacred Heart's defense will try and make a stop here. The rest of that starting defense, Corbin Caney, Derek Yannick, and Lane Leopold, their 3 linebackers. Miles Makachek, Austin Kutak, Dalton Grauman, and Trenton Kratz, their secondary. But they've got a big task right now, looking at first and goal with how St. Paul's moved the ball on this drive.
Mike, honestly, when's the last time you've seen, or Matt and Gabe, when's the last time you've seen I formation?
An awful lot of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Giese with his very low squat under center, handoff up the middle, and stood up immediately with Zach Johnson.
So, Larry, why is it important, especially in the option offense, for these wide receivers to be great blockers?
Well, they're the ones responsible for sealing the edge, but St. Paul's doing a good job of sending them inside and sealing off some linebackers also. The better you block, when they do throw the ball, it will open up play action. So if we see a St. Paul receiver slip wide open, we know that kid's been blocking extremely well because the defender is going to come up, try to fight off the block. He's going to go right by him.
Johnson hit a wall on that first and goal carry. It was number 59, Derek Yannick. Second and goal now from the 2. Giese hands off to Johnson again, and this time he's in. Zach Johnson caps off a very impressive drive from St. Paul, and they're an extra point away from knotting it up.
Oh, look at this extra point formation. A little bit of a swinging gate look.
Swinging gate. Make them work on something else.
Saw what the Dolphins did to the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. The fake out of this formation, and the punter threw a touchdown pass. I beg your pardon, the kicker threw a touchdown pass to the punter, if memory serves.
Yeah, Matt, even if they don't run a play there, that forces the other team to waste practice time making sure you know how to line up for that. Time that could be spent doing other things, you've got to account for that. And it's about 15 to 20 minutes of your week making sure you're lined up for swinging gate.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're in 11-man football. If they get that extra 2 points, especially with the way the score could be going in this game, that could make a difference.
Extra point up and through off the foot of Sam Benish, and it's 7-all, 3:54 on the clock here in quarter number 1 of the TAPS Division IV state championship game. So if we're keeping tally on the number of possessions, already 2 so far for Sacred Heart, 1 for St. I guess technically St. Paul has possessed it twice.
Yeah.
It was only on the kickoff, but they did technically have possession very briefly. It's a good thing we didn't lay down money on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the way St. Paul's was able to move the ball, that was pretty impressive. I didn't think they were going to be able to move it that fast, obviously with these two teams knowing each other that well. But, as I said, it's a state championship game, kind of throw things out. So we'll see what happens, especially on these next drive from each team.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, too. Munster Sacred Heart's a power run team, and they were stifled last week by Hallettsville.
A matchup of 2 Sacred Hearts in the state semifinals on that side of the bracket. The Sacred Heart team you're watching right now in white knocked off Sacred Heart of Munster 29-0 in the state semis. St. Paul made it here to the championship game courtesy of a 41-14 win over Lake Country Christian in the state semis, a team they beat last year in the state championship game. Kickoff fielded at the 16-yard line, and still on his feet on the right-hand side of the field is Lane Leopold across the 30 and diving across the 35. A nice return and good field position here for the Indians offense.
A lot of times in games like this, Matt, I don't know if you see this in six-man football, but on the kickoff return, since the teams have smaller rosters, it's hard to simulate that in practice, a full-speed 11-on-11 look. So every time you kick the ball deep, there's a potential for a big play.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially you're going to put your best 3 athletes out there, and, you're trying to give some people a little bit of breather. Yeah, there's sometimes, obviously, a chance for a huge play.
3:44 on the clock here, first quarter, as Sacred Heart takes the football back, and Leopold with a head of steam across the 40, close to first down yardage, a pickup of 9 on the first play of the possession.
They've got Yannick on the right side, but they're having a lot of success right now running behind their left side. They're winning some battles on the left side of the line right now.
Yannick 6'3" and 180 playing right guard. The left guard, though, Blake Shimmick, 6'2", 275, and they believe he's definitely kind of their next player who's going to get some recruiting looks as a big hit laid on Corbin Caney, but not before he picks up the first down and gets out to the 48-yard line.
Corbin Caney, ball carrier. He picks up the Indian first down.
Caney, Kratz, Leopold, Harper, Makachek, and Grauman will all carry the football for this team, in addition to being featured elements of the passing game as well. Kutak, as we've seen a little bit already today, will run the football as well. This time the handoff goes to Corbin Caney right up the middle. First down again into St. Paul territory and down to the 35.
So look, Larry, I've got a question for you. So on the, running it from the shotgun, running it under center with obviously a lot of this option offense, what's the pros and cons of each?
A lot of times in that pistol look or that shotgun, it's just a timing. When you're under center, they feel like you can hit it a little bit quicker, but they've got their timing down and they're hitting it just right.
Hitting it just right to the tune of 1st and 10 from the 35. Little dance in the backfield this time for Caney, and he's thrown back. Beg your pardon, it's Leopold on the carry. Give him 2 officially.
And when those option guys run it out of the pistol, you're always a little worried about that snap. It's got to be a good snap almost every single time to make sure that timing doesn't get off. But they're doing a great job. This looks like old school Sacred Heart Indian football just from a pistol gun look. I mean, it's fun to watch. We're going to run it down your throat, and Shiner's going to answer and run it right down their throat too.
Head coach Manny Freeland calls the offense for this Sacred Heart football team. 2nd down and 8, and they're going to go to the air here over the middle and wide open up the seam across the 10 and taken down at the 6-yard line. Trenton Kratz with a big play, and it'll be 1st and goal for Sacred Heart.
I think also, looking at the shotgun look for the option that obviously Hallettsville is running, I think it's a lot easier, maybe not a lot easier, but it's easier for the quarterbacks to keep him honest because with that pass play, he was wide open.
1st and goal, they hand it off up the middle for Will Harper, and into the pile he plunges, maybe a pickup of 2. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 4.
Yeah, there's an old saying with us, our run coaches, when we do throw the ball. We don't throw the ball often, but when we do, we throw it for big plays. And that was a big one.
Stopped at the 4-yard line.
Austin Kutak, the quarterback, was really having to do just about everything for this football team for Sacred Heart early on in the season when they had so many injuries. Now that they've finally gotten back healthy, he's able to just kind of play point guard for this football team, and he's doing that very well. 2nd and goal, and looked like he was going to take off himself, but flags fly before the snap. And 2nd and goal from the 4 will now come from the 9.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's a tough one there, especially down in the red zone.
Yeah, the one thing that's good here for these option running teams, these power running teams, as we've been saying, a lot of times in the red zone, when we saw it earlier with Lubbock Christian and Bernie Geneva, a lot of times they run out of room in the red zone. Obviously running the ball, spreading out the field a little bit, not too much of an issue for either of these teams.
Final 25 seconds of quarter number 1, and Kutak is going to keep it himself, lowers his shoulder to get back inside the 5, but it'll be 3rd and goal from, I'm going to mark it right at the 5-yard stripe.
Yeah, that's why that penalty hurt. That looked like the same formation, same play they wanted to run last time. They got the yards they needed. They would have been in the end zone. Here, they're just trying to get it to manageable now. Those little penalties add up.
And as Kutak gets some guidance on the sideline, that is the end of quarter number 1. The final game of TAPS Championship Weekend, 7-7. Sacred Heart and St. Paul will be back on TAPS TV with quarter number 2.
I think that high school sports have made me physically and mentally tough. Sports have taught me through good times and bad times that you have to keep your head up and stay tough and keep working harder to get better.
Back at Panther Stadium, 2nd quarter action about ready to get underway, and it's going to be 3rd down and goal from the 5 for Austin Kutak and the Sacred Heart Indians offense.
I think if you're Sacred Heart here, you really got to put some points on the board on this drive. With the ease that St. Paul was able to move the ball earlier, you really got to give yourself some insurance here.
Kutak's going to have 4 wide receivers here on 3rd and goal. The back in the backfield with him is Lane Leopold. He's got Kratz and Harper to the bottom of the formation, and now one of the wide receivers to the top side comes down into the backfield. That's Miles Makachek, and they're going to hand it off to Leopold, and he's got nowhere to go. Weston Geiger takes him down for a loss of 1, really, and it'll be 4th and goal now from the 6.
This is a really nice stand for him, forcing Coach Freeland to make a decision here. Does he want 3 or are they going to go for it? But great stand by the Shiner defense right now.
We've seen Josh Stefik try a 39-yard field goal that came up short. This time they will run him back out there and try what will be a 23-yard field goal. Straight on kick and flags before the snap, or beg your pardon, whistles before the snap.
Was it before the snap? Looked like there was.
As the snap happened,
Okay.
yeah, perhaps?
No, I was just wondering, because it looked like there was quite a bit of cut blocking on the front line there from. No, timeout.
St. Paul calls timeout before what was going to be an attempt of a 23-yard field goal by Josh Stefik.
Unless they had too many guys on the field, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was trying to wonder. I was thinking the same thing. What's the purpose?
Yeah, why burn a timeout there? Or maybe this point is so important. Coach Waxsmith worked on a block, and he wants to make sure he's got it lined up right because he's seen something on film they can take advantage of. But very rarely do you see a timeout or an extra point. Or, I'm sorry, a field goal.
Right, of course. But, I mean, still, it's about an extra point distance, something you think should be fairly routine, and, frankly, something that you wouldn't think you've got a tremendously high percentage chance of blocking. I'm puzzled by that timeout call.
Yeah, they're overloading really heavy on the left side of the Sacred Heart formation. We've got two guys looking for the fake.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea there.
6 guys on the defense's right. They do come after it. They don't get to it. And the 23-yard field goal from Stefik is up and through. And Sacred Heart goes back in front by 3.
You were definitely right there, Larry. I think Coach Washmuth was able to find something on film and almost exploit it there. They were pretty close.
Yeah, there were a lot of penetration.
So 43 seconds in here to the second quarter. 10-7, Indians back in front. The Stefik field goal from 23 yards out, capping the drive for the Indians.
I'm going to go. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just say we've seen the St. Paul offense once today, and when they did finally get their hands on the football, they went down the field very quickly.
Absolutely, they sure did. Be interested to see how this second drive goes. See if the defensive coaches from Sacred Heart were able to make any adjustments, try to slow them down. But if they keep running behind Geiger, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop them.
You know, that first drive from Shiner St. Paul, that is what their style of football has looked like for the last 10, 11 years. He just does what he does, and they do it well. It's fun to watch.
It'll be Stefik to kick the ball away. Kai Giese and Zach Johnson deep to return for St. Paul. And a nice kick. Down to the 11-yard line, it'll be Giese to take it on the right-hand side and into some traffic, gets back to the 25-yard line.
Definitely some Iron Man football when you see your quarterback taking a kick return. I see it in 6-man all the time because a lot of times he's the best athlete on the field, and Giese is a very good athlete. So, the only issue you may run into is if he gets injured on a kickoff return, it's kind of a little bit difficult to explain.
Mm-hmm. The tackle for Sacred Heart. Indians have the ball at their own 25. First and 10.
High formation as we've seen all day so far from the St. Paul offense.
Quick trap or quick dive to the left.
Yeah, dive up the middle in the hands of Noah Bedecker, fighting his way forward for a hard-fought 3. Beg your pardon, it was Zach Johnson on the carry.
The low squat by Giese is, you don't see that very often, Coach. What's the advantage there?
I'm not sure there is one, is there?
Well, you just can't. Yeah, you can't.
Can't see him.
He's not tipping off which way he's going, so you can't get a step to get a read on him. So when he comes out of that low stance, even when he meshes, it's hard to figure out where he's going.
Tosses it back this time, and Zach Johnson again burrowing his shoulder into the defense. Beg your pardon, this time it's Bedecker. Apparently I'm having a tough time picking up 11 or 16 so far tonight.
Well, and I think the thing you look at, too, obviously with offensive linemen, you want them keep low in their stance, don't stay high. Low man always wins, or, obviously majority of the time. And so I think, obviously at that center position, if you're going to run into those quick dives, you need him really to make sure he gets his block.
So it'll be 3rd and 2 from the 33-yard line. Have to get right to that 35-yard stripe for a first down. And diving over the top of the pile is Carson Reese, first down.
He went airborne to pick that one up. He just, hey, I'm getting this. Meet me down low if you're going to stop me. That was a great run there.
That's pretty much what you're going to see all night long. Giese, Carson Reese, Noah Bedecker, Zach Johnson. One of those 4 players will carry the football on probably 90+% of downs for the St. Paul offense. This time it's going to be the quarterback, Giese, with blocking in front and strung out well by this Sacred Heart defense.
Great pursuit by the Indian defense there. There were 4 defenders on him by the end of the play.
That was an interesting lineup, too. They had a bunch of receivers on the right side. Usually they've been lining up in, offensive line, 2 to 3 tight ends, and a wide receiver and a running back, but that one was a little bit different.
Yeah, I thought we might be seeing a big play there. They got the two lead blockers got through the gap, but the Hallettsville defense just closed so fast.
Gerard Nunez, one of their wide receivers, also Cade Davis and Trent Brown you'll see from time to time. Counter here. And again, defended well by Sacred Heart. Maybe a pickup of 3, but it'll be 3rd down and 5.
So, Larry, when you have a quarterback in this system, do you, as a coach, call a lot of the plays, or do you allow him to call a lot?
I think right now what we're seeing from Shiner, Coach Waxman's calling what he sees.
Locksmith is the offensive coordinator for this St. Paul offense. Runs Cade Davis, the wide receiver, onto the field with the play, and as we tick down to 8 minutes to play in the second quarter, 3rd and 5 for Giese and his offense. And Giese's going to keep it himself, coming to the near sideline, makes a nice cut up field, another one across the 45, first down as he gets across midfield.
That's a beautiful run. When you can run QB sweeps like that and you got blockers out in front, he can make people miss. That's a good football play.
And then a lot of the times for these option offenses to be good, to be great sometimes, they're going to have a catalyst and a quarterback, and Giese's doing a great job tonight running the show.
And another great block here from the Cardinals. That was number 16, Zach Johnson, to open it up from him. The coaches are upset. They wanted a flag there for unnecessary roughness at the end of the play, but didn't get it.
Yeah, 2 teams that preach being physical, and they're mad that the other team's being physical.
I didn't see anything that necessitated a flag there. 1st and 10 at the 49, and Giese's going to keep it himself, trying to get to the outside, trying to run the ladder and run out of bounds.
Yeah, Matt,
Miles Makacek.
Matt, that was predetermined there. There was no read there. He was just faking the belly and taking it himself, just trying to get the guys to suck up inside. But there was no read there. It was a quarterback run all the way.
Absolutely, and great job by the defensive player there to really use the sideline as a second defender, use that near hip as aiming point, and really drive him out.
Pickup of 6, though, by Giese on first down. 2nd and 4, and now a timeout.
Almost halfway through the second quarter now.
Starting to pick up pace a little bit on that clock. 2 timeouts left for Sacred Heart. Only 1 remaining now for the St. Paul Cardinals as they call their second of the half. It'll be 2nd and 4 at the 43 out of this timeout. Fellas, about what you've expected so far?
Better than what I expected. Both teams know they were coming, and we're still getting positive yards. They've had years to work on this stuff against each other, and they know it's coming, and both teams are having success moving the ball.
It's one of the things that Jake Walksmith, the head coach at St. Paul, said about this Sacred Heart coaching staff, despite the fact that Manny Freeland's in his first year as head coach. Rick Mossick, the defensive coordinator, was the head coach last year, has been part of this program. He knows very well what St. Paul's trying to do, and he'll have his defense ready for sure.
Well, and I think the big thing is these two schools have had great programs over the years. Obviously, the kids start out in CYO playing against each other, playing against the local teams, and then coming junior high and high school. So they know who they're going to play. Nobody's moving in, nobody's moving out, and they're going to have to see them 4 times a year.
2nd and 4. Handoff up the middle in the hands of Bedecker.
Back in the late 1980s, Matt, Warrensburg was our big rival. It was 12 miles away. We knew every kid by first name, and we knew that we just don't like them. These kids with social media, I bet they know everybody by first name, who their friends are, and I bet they just don't run into each other on Friday nights. They do not like each other at all.
Maybe by the end of the night, fellas, I'll be able to parse out who's 16 and who's 11 for this St. Paul offense. It was actually Zach Johnson on that carry to pick up the first down. This time they're going to hand it up the middle, and this time I'm certain that it is Zach Johnson on the carry and no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Zach Johnson, the ball carrier.
Past the midway point of quarter number 2. In game 7 of 7 of TAP's championship weekend. 6 titles already handed out. 3 6-man titles on Thursday. Division 1 and Division 2 on Friday. Division 3 this afternoon. And Division 4 here between Sacred Heart and St. Paul. 10-7 Indians on top here mid-second quarter. 2nd down and 10.
Play action.
They'll go to the air. Fading backward and throwing it out of bounds is Giese. There is a flag down at the 31-yard line. Corbin Caney, the Sacred Heart linebacker, clapping his hands, standing next to that flag as the umpire, Eric Horton, goes over to talk with Bernard Gray, our crew chief this evening.
Well, I saw a lineman running back to the huddle. He's coming from a long way, so maybe an ineligible guy downfield?
Possibly, especially in that area.
See what Mr. Gray has to say here. That is indeed the call.
Good call there, Larry.
But I think they're saying that they're going to pick up the flag, though. So it will stay 3rd down. I'm not sure why they would pick up the flag. The ball was very clearly thrown downfield. If there was a lineman downfield, there was a lineman downfield. That's a flag. I don't think there's any reason why that would be picked up.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know if they just maybe were confused about who was downfield. That's the only scenario I can think of, right?
Yeah, I saw a kid run blocking downfield. He had every right to be because that's all they've shown so far. I'm not sure why they picked that one up.
So it'll be 3rd down and 10 on the counter, and stood up immediately is Noah Bedecker. Nice defensive play by Sacred Heart. Penetration at the point of attack and nowhere to go for St. Paul.
Lane Leopold came in and slammed the door shut.
And I'm so impressed with some of these players. They are doing it on both sides of the ball and in special teams. It's been huge for their teams tonight.
Yeah, nobody fooled by the counter at all. So they are reading whatever their keys are that their coaches haven't coached up on. They are doing a great job. They were not fooled by that counter at all.
Under 5 to play, 2nd quarter, and they're going to go for it here in 4-down territory. Ball at the 38 on Sacred Heart's side of the field. It's going to be Giese at a shotgun. 2 wides to the top of the formation, 1 to the near side. And as a matter of fact, it's going to be Johnson to throw. He's the better thrower of the 2, but it falls incomplete. Turnover on down. Sacred Heart's defense holds.
And that's huge for the Indians there from Hallettsville. With the way they're running the clock, the way they're running the ball, this may be, a chance for them to kind of close the 2nd quarter with a score.
It is St. Paul ball to start the 2nd half. Worth noting, Zach Johnson coming in at quarterback in a throwing situation not uncommon for St. Paul. He will play quarterback from time to time, especially in throwing situations. Of course, the offense that they run, they like Giese in there for the most part. Pick up a few here on the first play of the drive for Sacred Heart. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Good run. They've got all 3 timeouts, I think, so they got plenty of time still to keep it on the ground and work their way downfield.
Under 4 on the clock. 4 wide receiver set now here for Kutak. He's going to keep it himself. Twisted down at the 44-yard line. Give him 3 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
Man, I love this Geiger kid on the defensive offensive line. He's doing his job on offense, getting inside, really plugging the hole on defense. He's doing a great job for the Cardinals so far.
How'd you like getting tackled by that guy? Man, he is huge.
He is a big man, that is for sure.
Weston Geiger is a load.
Look at the hips on all these guys. What are they just feeding these guys down in South Texas, or what have they added to the water? These kids are huge.
3rd and 4, they'll go 4 wides, trips to the near side. Kutak out of shotgun. Looking on the far side, into trouble, nearly intercepted. Very lucky that it wasn't. Kai Giese had an opportunity at it. If he wasn't on the turf, he would have had a better chance. Harmlessly incomplete, though, and it's 4th and 4.
Shiner fumbled, they held. Now Shiner got stopped on downs, and it looks like they're going to hold and get the ball back.
That's a huge play there by the Shiner defense. Almost got the interception there. But let's see if they can use the next 3 minutes and 2 seconds, see if they can get a score on the board. Kind of make it a 2-possession game here, because they're going to get it in the second half as well.
Derek Yannick to punt the football away. It's Giese and Johnson deep to return. And it will be Johnson to pick it up on a bounce and come to the near sideline across the 35 down to the 40.
Nice return. I'm going to talk to my staff. It is important, I think, to realize when the other team's getting the opening kickoff in the second half how precious that possession is at that minute mark, and how important you got to run clock and wear it down, because they've got time to score and get the ball back. That double possession scenario can definitely factor in here.
Noah Bedecker on the punt return down to the out to the 40-yard line, and that's where Kai Giese and company will get back to work out of shotgun here on 1st and 10. Haven't seen him in shotgun a whole lot so far today. Beg your pardon, it's going to be Johnson who's playing quarterback as he did on that 4th down play. He's going to lower his shoulder and get to the 45 and fight forward to the 46.
Some really nice blocking on the perimeter and some really hard running. Good play, good gain. Just a different look to get the quarterback the ball and come downhill.
Dalton Grauman able to wrap him up and bring him down for the Indians.
Pickup of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. 2:22 and moving here, 2nd quarter. Cardinals with 1 timeout remaining, trailing 10-7.
There's some confusion, and they had to burn their last timeout. That's tough.
Yeah, Coach Washmuth is not happy at all.
2 minutes and 11 seconds now, 2nd quarter.
You guys had a chance to watch 6-man games. I want to give away an award here. The best-looking uniforms so far in these state championship games, Shiner. Those things are beautiful with the red, the white numbers, the helmets with the wings, the Oregon look on the side. That is a sharp football look right there, especially with the red pants. I like those uniforms. I've always felt if you look good, you got a chance to play good too.
Absolutely. And the great thing for us as announcers, you can actually see the numbers.
Except for me, apparently, because I can't seem to get 16 or 11 straight right now. Noah Bedecker is 11. Zach Johnson is 16. I know that much, but I can't seem to identify which one is actually carrying the football in any given moment. I've mixed them up several times now so far this evening. Gentlemen, if you go back and watch this football game back over the course of the coming days, I apologize. Or if there's a grandmother or an aunt or an uncle that's maybe watching the game from anywhere around the state of Texas or heck around the country here on Tabs TV, I do apologize for repeatedly misidentifying your favorite player. As on 2nd down and 4, they'll be in shotgun here. Out of the timeout. They're now out of timeouts, and it's going to be Johnson to carry it. Spins his way out of 1 tackle as he comes across midfield, and that's enough for a 1st down as they are into Sacred Heart territory.
That's a good spin move for them to get free off of that 1st tackle, and then I love the way Geiger pulled on that play to get get the block there for the Cardinals. Great job there by the big man again.
That is so old school football. They're in the gun, and it's a quarterback counter where he counter steps to the right and then follows the guard to the left. It's just beautiful.
Here comes Geezy on the quarterback sweep to the right-hand side and ridden down by Nolan Stefik. Gain of 2 on the play.
To your previous point, Mike, I'm willing to bet that most of the fans of both these teams are such good fans. They can just spot them and they know them, or they're here. They don't need us rattling off the numbers. They know exactly who's on their team.
I'm glad it's you because it'd be me. That kid from, and just move on. So.
Second down and 8 as we've hit 70 seconds now to play in the first half, and they're going to go to the air. Geezy coming to the near side. He hits Johnson complete across the 35. He does not get out of bounds. The clock will stop as they move the sticks, but they'll wind it quickly here. 1:03 and paused for the moment, but as they drop the football on the 30, they wind it, and back to the line of scrimmage comes Geezy. He'll be under center. Now under a minute to play, 56 seconds, and they'll clock it at 55. Geezy turning around and hollering at Zach Johnson, and I can only imagine that's exactly what he's saying is you have to get out of bounds in that situation.
Well, but the problem is obviously with option offenses, power run offenses, you got to know that, know the situation, know what's going on. You just got to hurry up there and get the clock, get the spike.
They did at least execute that part of it correctly. And with 55 seconds left, they come out of the huddle here on 2nd down and 10.
Quarterback run again.
Out of shotgun, motion man is Bedeker, and it's going to be Johnson to throw it to him quickly on the right-hand side, but well defended by Sacred Heart. And the clock will wind, 47 and moving. St. Paul hustling back to the line of scrimmage. Johnson looking to the sideline for the play. Geezy, the usual starting quarterback, standing on the near sideline in a wide receiver position, but precious seconds ticking off, now down to 27. 20 seconds have come off the clock here between plays. And now a false start after all of that. Just a disaster of a 25-second span here for St. Paul's offense. Precious time ticking off, and then an error to compound it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because now with the clock, no timeouts, even if they do get some positive yardage here, can they get a field goal lined up to try to get it tied? I don't think there's enough time right now. It sounds like they're going to try to kick it now.
That's a long distance, though.
Sam Benish has got a big leg. It's 3rd down. But it does look like they're going to elect to try and kick a 50-yard field goal. Talking with Jake Walksmith earlier this week, so the 10-second runoff is part of this decision-making process here for Walksmith. When I talked to them earlier this week about Benish, he said they will try field goals out to about 50 yards, and sure enough, that's exactly what this will be from the right hash.
It's a hot clock. It's going to start as soon as he...
And I was
Clock is wound and out of the hold of Kai Geezy from 50 yards, Sam Benish, and now a timeout.
Wow.
Apparently called with 5 seconds left by Sacred Heart. So we'll have an opportunity to think about this here.
I think that was a good timeout called there by Coach Freeland. I mean, even if they make the field goal, give it to them for kicking a 50-yarder. I mean, obviously in a high school football game, that's a hard thing to do, but you don't want them to be able to execute a fake and your guys not be ready for it. I mean, you got 5 seconds left. You've got the 3-point advantage. You're going to give the ball back. You just want to make sure that everything's taken care of.
Yeah, I thought maybe just with, the opportunity, it's really, really rare when you get that 10-second runoff because you don't have timeouts. That's a hot clock. It's going, and the kicker's usually still kind of lining up, and before you know it, you're at 1, and you got to rush that kick. Now he's got some time to it can go either way, but I was kind of surprised by that because that hot clock gets a lot of teams in trouble after that 10-second runoff.
I'll say this, credit to Benish and the kicking team for St. Paul. They were ready. They were lined up. They were understanding the exact moment that you're talking about, that it was going to be a hot clock, and they were ready to roll. Now they do have a little bit more time to think about it, and it looks like they're going to come out of this and actually try and go for it here. Rather than trying the 50-yard field goal, they're going to try and perhaps throw it into the end zone with Zach Johnson in there at quarterback. And now another timeout.
I think you were right, Matt. I think a fake was coming, and he had to call timeout to get ready for it because they probably have on their scouting report they're not kicking a 50-yard field goal.
Yeah, but they take the time out here again. A little head play there by Coach Washmith to, line up in a play. We'll see what they do next. But, with the St. Paul not being a strong throwing team, I don't know. Would you still go for it on, with the field goal on this one?
Hey, I like Coach Wax, but I think he's going to come out. I bet you it would not surprise me if he comes out and tries to kick a field goal now.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is this: whether or not he was trying to engage in a little subterfuge by telling me that they can kick a 50-yard field goal, that is what he told me earlier this week, is that they would try with Benish out to 50 yards. That's what this would be if they come out and kick it, but it looks like the offense is returning to the field here with 5 seconds on the clock.
Good for Coach Freeman calling the timeouts. He's, hey, I want to be prepared. It tells you kind of how much they respect the staff over there. They don't want to be fooled on anything.
Yeah. It'll be Johnson, their usual running back, in at quarterback. He's the better thrower of the football of the two between he and Kai Giese as they try and make something happen here with the final 5 seconds of half number 1. Johnson heaving it deep into the end zone in the direction of Giese, but into triple coverage, and the interception will end the half. Dalton Grahman camped underneath it like a punt, and 1 half in the books, fellas.
I don't know if I would have tried to return that, Coach. I mean, he had quite a bit of space, and you've got several blockers on that. They were kind of in a prevent defense. I would have tried there, but still a smart play just in case you don't want to fumble or anything. That just a smart heads-up play. Could have gone for it, but I'll take it either way.
A conservative decision for sure, but you're right. He had tons of. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at it again to see whether or not. I mean, maybe he lost his feet, but it did seem like he just kind of sat down with it, knelt down, and ended the play. But you're right. He had a ton of room to work with if he wanted to try and make something happen, as the clock had already ticked down to triple zeros. But with that, the first half in the books, 10-7 after 1 half of play. Low scoring, not a surprise. The number of possessions maybe a little bit of a surprise, but neither team able to finish some of those possessions. The defenses have been up to the task a couple of times now so far in the first half.
Yeah, the TAP staff might want to be careful because people might want to prorate their ticket here because this game is going by super fast. And that's a lot of pressure because if you fall behind by more than 1 score in the second half, with both these offenses able just to crunch time off the clock, you're in trouble, and it's going to force you to press and do things that you don't normally want to do. So this is great.
Sacred Hearts cheerleaders down on the field here at halftime. We'll let you guys enjoy the halftime show here at Panther Stadium, and we'll return on TAPS TV in just a little bit.
Amanda Yannock, Paige Wright, Brianna Clark, Valerie Mueller, and Casey Schindler. And the girls have a performance for you tonight for your entertainment. Midway cheerleaders. Good job.
At this time, the Sacred Heart Fighting Indian Band will be performing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to tonight's Sacred Heart Fighting Indian Halftime Show. First, we would like to introduce our drum major for the 2019 football season, Junior Trey Ridgway. Our Sacred Heart Indian twirlers are Junior Katie Shank and freshman Laney Phelan. The first tune for you tonight is an exciting Latin song called Spanish Capo. The second selection for you tonight is Don't Stop Believing by the Rock Fruit Journey. And the final selection for you tonight is Happy Together by the vintage rock group, The Turtles. Sacred Heart Fighting Indian Band is under the direction of Mr. Alex Martinez. Congratulations, band, for a great season.
Ladies and gentlemen, continuing our halftime entertainment and tonight's Division IV State Championship game, we have the Shiner St. Paul Cardinal cheerleaders, coached by Aaron Marshall. Members of the St. Paul cheerleading squad include Captain Mallory Pacluda, co-captain Danny Blair, senior Maddie Stamford, junior Brooke Pesci, sophomores Sadie Mickish, Gracie Provey, and Serena Garza, freshmen Alex Escobar, Courtney Touche, and Julia Mahacek, and the mascot is Gabby Hagel. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the St. Paul Cardinal cheerleading squad. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen.
Halftime at Panther Stadium, about a dozen minutes to go until third quarter action here in Hewitt, Texas. Before we get to that, let's get to a couple of interviews that happened pregame. Our Gabe Duarte spoke with the principals from both schools.
All provided by Team IP, the official spirit gear provider for the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools.
Gabe Duarte here with TAPS TV and radio. Moments before kickoff, we're on the sidelines here before what should be a great state final. And we've got a special guest with us here from Sacred Heart. Introduce yourself to our audience, please.
I'm Kevin Haas, the principal at Sacred Heart. They're in Hallettsville, Texas, and we're super excited to be here as well.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about the school.
Sacred Heart has been around for 137 years.
Wow.
Youth tradition, small town, but we've got great kids, great parents. We're just excited to be here. It's been 11 years, since 2011 since we've been here.
And what's it been like all week getting ready for this game with you and your fan base?
It's been super exciting. The kids are so pumped up. The parents have been so excited, even all the way from our little pre-K and kindergartners. They are just super excited to be here. That's terrific. We've had a very interesting year this year. Our record was not the greatest. We had every kind of injury, sickness go on that could have gone. And for our kids to be here is just a true testament of determination.
You're here, that's what counts.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back to you guys. Gabe Duarte, TAPS TV and radio. We are here on the sidelines just moments before kickoff, and we've got a special guest with us here from Shiner St. Paul. Introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hi, my name is Neely Yoffel, and I'm the principal of St. Paul High School in Shiner.
Tell us a little bit about St. Paul.
St. Paul is rich in tradition. We've been, this is our 123rd year as a school, and we've been to the state tournament or to state games several times, and so we're very excited to be back again this year and against our rival Sacred Heart, which is always fun. It makes it fun for everybody.
What's the feeling like being here back-to-back years trying to win a consecutive state title?
We're excited. Our boys are pumped up and they're ready to go tonight, and our fans are too, so we're excited for them.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
(10-7) our halftime score here at Panther Stadium. The Sacred Heart Indians leading by 3 over St. Paul. Two teams from Lavaca County playing for a state championship today here in TAPS Division 4. On December 7th, 2019, Pearl Harbor Day, and in honor of that, earlier today we sat down with Chief Warrant Officer Jeff Fisher of the JROTC.
We're here on the sidelines with a special guest. This is Chief Warrant Officer 3, Jeff Fisher. He's in charge of the Midway High School JROTC. Tell us about the program here, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, my name is Chief Warrant Officer Jeff Fisher. I did 21 years active duty in the Marine Corps. We don't look at the ROTC programs as a recruiting tool. It's more of a community service tool. It's the way for the Marine Corps to give back. Our job really is to make future leaders in the communities of these young people, to give them the tools when they leave. They're going to be future leaders and servants out in the community.
The students here have been doing a fantastic job all weekend long before every game with the presentation of the colors. They've done a beautiful job, even in some harsh wind conditions. How do you select the students who will be out on the field?
Third year doing this. We have color guard members that work all year long. We actually have 7 different teams that make up our drill teams, and these kids are the best of the best. They have to maintain an A average, no disciplinary issues, and have to attend practice on a weekly basis in order to come out here and present the colors. But again, it's our honor to give back.
Thank you for all you do for these students and for your service.
Thanks. We appreciate TAPS. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Back here at halftime at Panther Stadium, 10-7 our score through 24 minutes worth of play. Sacred Heart Indians leading by 3 over the St. Paul Cardinals. Sacred Heart 7-6 on the year, trying to engineer a miraculous comeback from a 2-5 start to the season. They even forfeited a game early on this year in that 2-5 start. Since then, their only loss, though, was to this St. Paul team. They lost to 21-14 back on November 1st. And today trying to exact some revenge, and they lead 10-7 at halftime here in the Division IV state championship game. Mike Leslie, as well as Matt Tarbutton, Gabe Duarte, and Larry Thexton here with you in the broadcast booth once again here at halftime, gentlemen. An interesting first half, certainly a low-scoring first half, but no real surprises from what we saw from these two teams through 24 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see a whole lot of offensive fireworks. You know, I've seen a lot of scores in the last couple of days, and obviously throughout the football seasons where you're seeing a lot of 50 to 60, 70 to 30 games. With these two teams, you're not going to see that. They're power running, as Coach Thexton said. The RPO, the run people over. A lot of clock used up, a lot of time, taken in between snaps. So we knew it was going to be high scoring. But I would say so far, gentlemen, this game has lived up to the billet.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, you look at the score 10-7, and it would be easy to jump to the conclusion that it was sort of uneventful. But it has been a very entertaining 10-7 game, and a lot to watch, a lot of great defense, a lot of great blocking, which doesn't always make for real attractive football necessarily, or at least it's not the first thing that catches your eye. But we've seen some great fundamental football here from both teams.
Guys, I'm going to make a bold prediction. It's going to be a play-action pass that probably will have the outcome of this game. Both teams are so run-heavy. It's going to be a pass where a kid's just running wide open because the other team was trying to sell out on the run. That will probably factor into who wins this game. So it's going to be who can execute that the best. Hallettsville, Sacred Heart, I have been impressed. They gave up the big run to the fullback early. They've taken that quick dive away, and they've absolutely shut down the counter game. And they are reading their keys and doing a pretty good job on defense. I've been impressed, and I'm curious to see what Coach Waxmus does to get his fullback involved here in the second half.
A touchdown from both teams in the opening half of play. Lane Leopold, a 1-yard touchdown run for Sacred Heart to lead 7-0 early on. St. Paul answered back. Zach Johnson with a touchdown run from 2 yards away to make it 7-all. Josh Steffick's 23-yard field goal early on in the second quarter. The difference in the football game through one half of play, who will win the TAPS Division IV state championship? The answer to that question in the second half after this break on TAPS TV. Back at Panther Stadium, just over 2 minutes until second half action here between St. Paul and Sacred Heart. Two teams separated by just 14 miles, guys, that know each other extremely well. And we saw a little bit of that in this first half. The defensive coordinators were definitely prepared for what the other offense was going to do.
Yeah, that's for sure. Obviously, these teams have seen each other a few times over the last few years, obviously played each other in district play with Shiner getting the 21-14 victory during that time. I think the biggest thing we're going to see, and as Coach Thexton said to this earlier, you want to really watch the adjustments that they make, because especially against an option game, and obviously you're going to see one from the shotgun here with Sacred Heart, and then you're going to see under center for the most part with Shiner St. Paul. You really got to see what adjustments they make, because, biggest thing with especially this offense, option offenses, is kind of the, not checkers, but chess game they're going to play, and see them moving those pieces around.
Two teams that had inauspicious starts to their season. We've talked a little bit about Sacred Heart starting 2-5, including a forfeiture because they didn't have enough bodies to play a football game. St. Paul, in a similar vein, 3-3 to start their season after a tough start to their schedule. Played Geneva Burney, a team who won a state championship in Division III earlier on today. A couple of Division II teams as well as part of that 3-3 start. They went to Brentwood Christian at that 3-3 record. They were losing at half 16-0 against a Brentwood team that was a playoff team in Division II. Second half of that game, though, they played as good a half as they've played all season, according to their head coach, Jake Walksmith. Overcame that halftime deficit. Sam Benish kicked the 40-plus yard field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation and force OT, and they won the game on a 2-point conversion in that first overtime. He said it was the best half of football they played all year long, and he said for the most part, that team that showed up in the second half of that football game is who they've been for the balance of this football season. 6 consecutive wins to get to this point and playing in the state championship game, but trailing by 3 to start this second half. They will have the football first, though, as the kickoff down the far sideline. Well placed, and a very nice job by the coverage team for Sacred Heart. And St. Paul is going to start deep in their own territory as Cade Davis had just nothing to do with that football.
Yeah, that was a great job by the coverage team, really doing excellent work there by staying in their lanes, pursuing to the ball. Great kick by the kicker. Really sets it up and really helps Sacred Heart here on their first defensive possession of the game.
So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 17 for Kai Giese out of the power I.
Unbalanced line to the left, too.
And they will run that way behind all of that body. Not a whole lot to show for it as Carson Reese maybe picks up 3 on the first play of the drive, but there was a massive humanity on the left-hand side of the football.
Initial contact by number 2, Austin Kutak for the Indians, and finally brought down by 44, Brendan Kana.
And went unbalanced into the boundary, so he loaded up to the short side of the field, thought maybe they'd run wide. Maybe they're going to use that formation to set something up later on. Interesting call by Coach. Here it is again, unbalanced into the boundary.
On 2nd down and 7. This time they'll run away from all of that massive humanity, and Kai Giese strung out on the right-hand side, maybe picked up 2 or 3, so 3rd down will be manageable here. Call it 3rd and 4.
Yeah, did not fool Sacred Heart at all. They've seen this unbalanced look, and they didn't get outnumbered even to the short side. That's some really good defense right there.
Absolutely. I think they're going to maybe, I would say, a play action pass here or try to move something up the middle, maybe a counter look as well. I think this is going to be huge for Shiner to really get out of this, not drive, but, get the first down for sure.
Yeah, they got to hurry here.
Down to 2 on the play clock. They do get the snap off, and it's going to be a quarterback sweep to the near side. Giese's got blockers. He's got the first down. I think, yes, just barely. He'll have it by about a half a yard out to the 28-yard line, and they will move the sticks there on 3rd and short.
More great blocking by Shiner. Number 16, Johnson, and number 22, Reese, helping out to get that first down here.
Matt, they got the first down, but man, I hate the fact that it's a critical 3rd down play, and you've got to rush like crazy to beat that clock because you're trying to get a play in and get lined up.
Yeah, that is the one drawback I would say of the option offense. You can't really – I mean, you could obviously, but I think it's a little bit harder to obviously run a no-huddle look out of it.
On 1st and 10, the handoff coming near side behind a big offensive line to that side yet again. Carson Reese give him 3 on the first down play.
So, Matt, that's the right call. They're unbalanced into the boundary. There were 6 guys to the nub, so the formation would tell you we've got them outnumbered into the boundary. But what that tells me, Hallettsville's winning all those one-on-one battles up front. Even though they're outnumbered, they're getting off those blocks, and they're making a tackle for a little, just short gain.
Yeah, it's definitely tough defense, and as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, most of these guys do go both ways for both the Cardinals and the Indians.
Rick Masick's defense up to the task so far early on here in this third quarter. A little misdirection, and the handoff goes to Noah Bedecker, and he's twisted down across the 35 to the 37. And yet again, third down will be manageable. Call it 3rd and 2.
That's the best success so far tonight they've had on a counter play with that little wing back. So maybe they blocked it a little bit differently that time, but finally got the counter going a little bit.
3rd and 2 from the 37. Third down and 2, and they're going to hand it off up the middle, burying his shoulder into the line and picking up the first down. Zach Johnson on the carry, and he moves the sticks again.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say, the old adage they used to say about these offenses was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Obviously, with a nice turf field that we're playing on here for the state game, you don't see that, but they are willing to kind of grind it out here in the second half.
Yeah, 3 yards in a cloud of rubber pellets.
If you didn't say it, I was going to. 1st and 10 as we click under 4 minutes into quarter number 3. Ball right at the 40-yard stripe on St. Paul's side of the field. Giese under center in the straight eye. He's going to keep it himself off the fake, and a lot of running room, a big hole. He steps out of a tackle and across midfield, down across the 40 and out of bounds at the 37. Kai Giese showing off what he can do with the legs.
It was unbalanced right that time, so they had him outnumbered, and that was just belly keep with the quarterback. Beautiful. Gets the B-back out there running, leading block for him. That's just a well-designed football play. Nice quarterback run there.
Yeah, Giese's done a great job on these quarterback keepers, running both sides of the field, but he's done an excellent job finding the crease, hitting the hole, and going.
Fresh first down. 37-yard line in Sacred Heart territory now for Giese. Another quarterback sweep coming to the near side. Blockers in front, and a nice job to evade Carson Reese and make the play by Dalton Grommen.
Good play. They were there. They got the block. They got the stop, and they didn't risk. As much as this rivalry is, Kid could have kept going and tried to slam that quarterback down, but he just, heard the whistle, backed off. Smart football players. They don't want to give up a 15-yard penalty because that could be crucial right now.
In a game as low scoring as this has been, a mistake like that could lead to a score could be the difference in a football game.
That play they ran before, that belly play, I wish more teams would run that. Urban Meyer won a national championship running belly out of the spread at Ohio State. It's a great football play.
2nd down and 7 now. Giese again under center. Again with the fake, and he's going to keep it, trying to get to the right-hand side, trying to get the corner, lowers his shoulder across the 30. Takes a profit and gets down to the 29.
Yeah, the one thing I'm liking about Shiner St. Paul in this second half is they're really setting themselves up for good third downs. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and especially with this, power running option offense, that's putting them in great situations, not having to really force them to pass, something that I think they're comfortable with doing, but they'd rather run it.
Matt, I want you to take a look at the clock. We are halfway through this quarter, and it's still the first drive of the third quarter. This is football.
This is what Matt Tarbutton expected in the first half of this football game. 3rd down and 2 from the 29. Giese turns around and hands it off, and a big hole, and falling forward across the 25 for a first down is Zach Johnson. And they move the sticks once again, and more clock comes burning off.
Hey, there might not be time to do this later as quick as this game is going. Hey, one of my players, Cody Hare, sewed on or pinned on the ceremony today. I couldn't make it, felt bad about it, but he is an Eagle Scout, and I just want to say, son, I am so proud of you. Great job.
Congratulations all around. 1st and 10 as the ball sits right at the 25 on Sacred Heart's side of the field. This drive started at the 18-yard line. They're now knocking on the door of the red zone as Giese on the quarterback sweep. Nice patience. There is a flag down back behind the plays. He steps through across the 10 and down inside the 5 to the 4, but it looks like this is going to come back with the flag sitting at the 29.
It's going to be a block in the back here.
And that's tough. When you get a penalty, when you run this style of offense, now Shiner has shown they've got the ability to get big plays, but penalties will kill a drive when you're a ground team.
Holding against this St. Paul offense, and it all comes back. A nice play by Giese, really nice patience running the football as it initially looked like he was in trouble in the backfield, allowed the play to develop, made one cut up field, and all of a sudden he was off to the races. But he had a little too much help from his friends, and they bring it back to the 35, and it'll be 1st down and 20. Already 7 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock in quarter number 3 on this drive alone for the St. Paul Cardinals offense. But now in a little bit of trouble on 1st and 20. They're going to go halfback pass over the middle. Did he hang on to it? Yes, he did. Getting his hands underneath for the catch is Cade Davis, and it's a 1st down.
That was excellent play call there by Coach Washmuth. An excellent way to kind of gain back that yard. You know, as Coach Larry was saying, you know, these penalties on this kind of offense to be killer, but that was a great time to bring out the trick play for sure.
1st and 10 at the 14 as Johnson hits Cade Davis.
If I was the Sacred Heart staff, I'd take another look at that play if you could, because they were unbalanced, and a covered up receiver, if he goes down, that's ineligible.
Jumbo set here, and they're going to hand it off up the middle for Reese. And he was swallowed up immediately. Nice defensive play by Josh Stefik to lead the way. Give him 2 yards on the play, but the Sacred Heart defense was all over that one.
Good play there, and that's another thing when you go with these unbalanced sets. You got to know as a defense who's eligible, who's covered up, who's not eligible, and do not fall asleep on that stuff. Great opening drive.
Creeping up on 9 minutes now. Giese under center, straight eye on 2nd down and 8. Handoff, left side. Zach Johnson picking his way forward inside the 10. Give him 4 on the carry, and it'll be 3rd down and short. And this is what this drive has been the entire time, fellas. Just short chunks, patient, move the ball down the field, pick up a 1st down just barely, and keep it moving over and over and over again, with the lone exception of the trick play on the halfback pass. This has been efficient, effective football from St. Paul, and now they're down inside the 10-yard line. 3rd down and 4. They need a conversion here. Already under 3 minutes, 3rd quarter. Handoff. Johnson lowers his shoulder close to the 5. He's going to be short of the line to gain. Had to get to the 4 to pick up a 1st down. It's going to be 4th down here.
Big time decision here. You going to tie the game, or are you going to try to get the 1st down and get a touchdown here? Big decision for Coach Waxsmith here.
Certainly looks like he's made his decision already. The offense staying on the field. No sign of Sam Benish here.
Oh, I hear him screaming, go, go, down in the bleachers.
Well, they got about 10 seconds to get lined up. They're going to have to be quick.
And this is a critical play, and they got a rush here.
Giese sees it, 2 on the ticker. Power out of the left, toss. And he fell down and he won't get it. Zach Johnson lost his footing at the 5, turnover on downs, and Sacred Heart gets the stop.
Matt, I would mark that down at the 146 mark. They were late getting the play in, and he had to rush. And I'm not so sure they were all set, and he slipped. That's a crucial play there. And you've got 3 timeouts. Use one to make sure you got to make sure you got the right play, and everybody's ready to go right there.
Yeah, that's for sure, and that's definitely going to give some confidence to the Sacred Heart offense as they charge out on the field.
Not to mention they eschewed the chance to tie the football game with a good kicker in Sam Banish. They could have tied the game at 10, elected to go for it, and then weren't prepared to get to the line fast enough. Kai Giese got to the line, looked up, saw 2 on the play clock, and had to snap it quick. And to your point, Larry, not everybody was ready. And perhaps most importantly, Zach Johnson couldn't keep his feet as he tried to make a cut up field. And the 4th down failure gives the ball back to Sacred Heart, and they hang on to the lead despite a drive that was in excess of 10 minutes. St. Paul comes up empty.
Yeah, if the Shiner defense can hold and pin them here, they'll get the ball back with great field position.
So second down and 11, and they go counter. And nowhere for him to go. Well defended by this St. Paul defense. Lane Leopold had no room.
Larry, do you think they're going to go for a pass here, or do you think they're going to try to run it again?
You know, that's one thing when you're a run team. What you don't want to do is pass in obvious passing situations because they know what's coming, and it's not something that you're really good at. You got a lot better chance to pass on 1st and 2nd down, but 3rd and long, not a good time to throw, but they might not have a choice here.
Austin Kutak standing in his own end zone at a shotgun on 3rd down and 13. Rolls to the far side, fires that way, complete. Short of the sticks, they're going to have to rally to try and make it to the line to gain, and they will not. St. Paul's defense bottles them up at the 11-yard line, call it the 12, and it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, if you're Sacred Heart here, you're hoping you can get a good punt on this, because if not, you're really not flipping the field. I would say probably their best punt today probably hasn't been, but maybe about, I would say 20, 25 yards at best. So you're going to put them at the 40, at the best 50.
Got a great view of that replay there. All but 3 of the St. Paul defenders were around the receiver there at the end of the play.
Sacred Heart ran a grand total of 3 plays in the 3rd quarter. That's the end of 3. They'll have to punt to start the 4th. We'll be back on TAPS TV. Fours in the air in the Division IV state championship game, in a 3-point football game between Sacred Heart and St. Paul. 10-7, Indians in front as we start the final frame of the final game of championship weekend here in Hewitt, Texas at Panther Stadium.
This is the closest we've been going into the 4th quarter, at least for the 11-man games. Great way to finish. This is great for TAPS.
Derek Yannick to punt the football away. A very good snap, and he's going to try and fake it. He tries to run it up the middle. A gutsy decision. He's not going to get there. Knocked back in the ball. He's still on his feet. He lateraled it back. Now a flag flies, and they're going to be down well short of the line again. He tried to send it back to Corbin Caney. He couldn't find the line to gain either. There's a flag behind the play. Just a disaster. I don't think that was a called fake. I think that was a decision made by Derek Yannick when he saw the punt coverage team from St. Paul bail out. Officials discussing what this flag will be.
I think we're going to get a blocking foul.
Yeah, either way, I think it's going to be Shiner's ball. This is going to be one. Well, let's see how this works out first. But that's got the potential to be a play that grandparents talk about, tell their son, hey, we went for it down here with the lead.
Jake Walksmith waving his hand saying he wants to decline the penalty. Still no signal, though, from the officials as to what the penalty was. If we can get a replay queued up, by the way, of the here, let's get the call from Bernard Gray first. But I'd love to get another look at what Yannick was looking at. We talked about him off the top, the best football player for this team. It's going to be a personal foul, a blindside block against Sacred Heart. They're going to decline the penalty, take the result of the play, and it's going to be 1st down And it looks like first and goal. They're going to put the ball right on the 10-yard stripe. He lateraled it back, trying to keep the play alive for Corbin Caney, but I wonder if we can get the start of the play. That was really a bold decision from Derek Yannick to try and go for it there at a punt formation.
That was a huge break for St. Paul. Obviously, he would have been able to convert on that fourth down. Fake punt, that would have been huge, but got a break for the Cardinals to see if they can use it.
10 yards away from a lead-taking score. Giesi's going to take it himself off the fake. Cuts up field inside the 5. And he's down to the 3-yard line.
Yeah, I've got the emoji where I put my hand on my head and I'm just shaking it. I'm still trying to think through the possibilities and the scenarios where going for it there. It's a gutsy call, but if it goes bad, you're in big trouble, and they're in big trouble right now.
Second down and goal from the 3-yard line now. Power eye to the left behind Sam Giesi. Jackson dots the eye, gets the handoff, diving toward the end zone. Looks like he's going to be just short by the spot from each side. And it'll be third and goal from inside the 1. I don't know if you guys have any different opinion than I did there. It looked to me, though, like that was a decision that Yannick made himself. It didn't look like that was a set-up fake punt, no? I mean, it's hard to say, I know, from up here, but it just from the way that play developed, it didn't look like that was the design.
Yeah, maybe his steps got off and he realized, hey, I just got to run here. Not sure, but, man, it's a tough play there.
Third and goal, and they'll go power eye once again. Giesi turns, hands to Johnson, buries his shoulder into the line, touchdown. St. Paul goes in front.
Great play. Great play there by the Cardinals to be able to finally push it in. I think it's going to be a interesting couple minutes here to see if the Indians of Sacred Heart can answer.
Yeah, you talked about at halftime, what are the adjustments going to be? Shiner's decided to go unbalanced, creating that extra gap, and they are taking advantage of it. And when Sacred Heart lines up to cover up the unbalance, they run the other way.
Extra point from Sam Benish, up and through, 14-10. St. Paul with the first points of the second half here, 1 minute and 43 seconds into quarter number 4. A 10-minute drive to open the half came up empty, but they force a 3-and-out, and then either an error or a questionable decision, however you want to term it, by Derek Yannick, the punter for Sacred Heart. Tried to go for it on fourth down and about 4. Couldn't get to the line, tried to lateral it back to Corbin Caney. That didn't work either, and it set up first and goal from the 10 from St. Paul. And 3 plays later, they're in the end zone, and they have the lead, 14-10.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're a coach for Sacred Heart right now, you're just thinking in your head, hey, they were down on the goal line. We were fortunate that they slipped and fell. You've got the ball now. You're down 4. Just drive down, put the ball in the end zone, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, because if you're either team with 2 minutes or less on the game clock, that's not a lot of time.
10-17 to play. Both teams still with all 3 timeouts here in the fourth quarter. The first meeting between these two teams 1 month and 6 days ago. A 21-14 win for the St. Paul Cardinals. They won Division IV District 3 as a result. Sacred Heart trying to exact some revenge, but now trailing by 4. First time today they've been behind in this football game.
Yeah, they just need to calm down, do what they do. They've got the ball. They can run time off the clock. They can play power football. Just make sure they've got a good drive here. If nothing else, they've got to flip the field and get some field position so they can get another opportunity later this quarter. But,
absolutely. Having run only 4 plays so far, they've got to keep their composure for the sake of their own mental state here. They've got to get the ball moving and remind themselves that they can do this.
Leopold coming on the near side, stacked up after he picked up about a yard or two. All the momentum, all the energy right now on this near home side of the stadium for St. Paul. There's no doubt about it.
One of my former assistant coaches just called me a hypocrite, said, hey, you went for it on 4th and 7 deep in your territory in the state semifinal, and it worked out just fine. So quit criticizing him.
Leopold gets the handoff and fights forward for maybe 2 more. It'll be 3rd and 6.
I'm a little older and wiser now.
How did that one end up?
Well, we ran it for a touchdown. We caught Munster by surprise, and it worked out big time for us. So that's why I said, hey, why are you being a hypocrite on the broadcast? You went for it deep in your territory. It worked out just fine. And if you didn't get it, everybody would have been shaking their head at you too.
Well, to be fair, we're shaking our head right now after the way that transpired. It leads to a touchdown for St. Paul, and the Cardinals have the lead. That'll be a first down, though, as they throw it on the near side. Miles Makachek with the reception.
First throw of the second half.
Yeah, just keep moving those chains.
Sacred Heart has been able to move the football tonight, so there's no reason why they shouldn't believe they can go right down the field and score a touchdown and take the lead. But perhaps most importantly, they've been able to pick up a couple first downs here and start to steal back some of the momentum, because it was very clearly on St. Paul's side after that most recent sequence. Now they're starting to get their sea legs a little bit as Kutak keeps it himself and picks up about 4.
That's a good play. We see 4 yards. It's not the big play you see in some other offense, but 4 yards is a successful football play. You do that 3 times in a row, you move the chains. 4 yards is important. It's a great number. You get a football play, it gets 4 yards. That's a victory for your team right there.
Even if you look at the advanced metrics, they term a successful first down play as any play that gains, as a flag came in at the end of that play, any play that gains 40% of the 10 requisite yards to pick up a first down, that's a successful play on first down.
This could be, Gabe, I didn't see it. Was it a high-low?
Yeah, I'm really not sure there.
Well, it's a big penalty against this St. Paul defense. A face mask is going to give them a free first down, and it's going to move the ball into Cardinal territory.
Yeah, that's a big play, yeah.
I didn't catch a number as far as who the face mask was on. I don't know if we can get a replay here before 1st and 10 from the 41. 7:41 and moving here, 4th quarter.
Oh, that was number 75, Geiger. He reached out and grabbed a handful of face masks there as the running back was going by.
So 1st and 10, Kutak with pressure in his face, steps away from one player, throws it out on the right-hand side. Nice play to keep the play alive. Leopold has it on the edge now, and he breaks a tackle, and he's off to the races up the right sideline. Cut back inside the 10, into the end zone. Lane Leopold, touchdown, Sacred Heart. An unbelievable play by Austin Kutak and Lane Leopold.
It's almost like he made that up. He was running, he saw a player out on the side and just threw it over there at the last minute. Wow.
Absolutely unbelievable. A 41-yard touchdown pass.
What 4th down? Oh, it's blocked.
And it's blocked, and here's an opportunity here, and they're going to jump on top of it. They could have returned it for 2 points. That would have tied the football game. Instead, it will stay 16-14 as the PAT from Josh Stefik is blocked. That's an important point right there, because St. Paul does have a very talented kicker in Sam Benish that has some range. But look again at Austin Kutak, keeping the play alive, flips it out on the right-hand side for Lane Leopold, and the moment he made one man miss, he was up the right sideline. Cut back right there to get away from Zach Johnson and into the end zone. What a play by Lane Leopold, and Sacred Heart with a lightning strike back in front.
What a great job by Leopold to have the mental awareness to be ready for that pass, to get that play going in the first place.
there's still a lot of football to go, but if that play holds up and that's the one that wins the game, that's the one you tell your grandkids about in this rivalry. Hey, we did this in the fourth quarter, and this is how we just incredible. That's a great play.
For a team that was kind of turtled up there for a little bit after the way that everything transpired down on this far right-hand side of the field, the punt that just was a questionable decision by somebody, whether it was the coaching staff that elected to go for it on fourth down, whether it was Yannick who made the decision himself, regardless, it was questionable. Led to a disaster, led to a touchdown for St. Paul, and they take the lead 14-10. After all of that, for Sacred Heart to engineer that drive and create that moment, unbelievable stuff from the Indians offense, and they take the lead back 16-14.
Absolutely. They watched Shiner run, as you mentioned, 10-plus minutes off the clock. Then they had a turnover on downs. Then they're facing, of course, their district rivals, their longtime enemies, the defending state champions, and didn't bat an eye.
7-13. Every call now in the back of your head, every call just takes on a bigger meaning. But the good news for St. Paul, Coach Waxman's been here before. He's made these calls. He's experienced in these situations. They're in good hands right now because he knows how to handle this kind of pressure.
They ran a 10-minute drive to start this second half with 7:13 on the clock in the fourth quarter. If you're Jake Waxman, I don't know how you don't think you're moving the football down the field over this next 7 minutes and 13 seconds, scoring a touchdown and walking off the field as state champs. That is the idea anyway, as they hand it off for Zach Johnson on 1st and 10. He picks up 5 of it.
Well, that's one way to look at it. The other way is they don't have enough time to score.
Gabe Duarte, everybody. That's a good line. I like that. 2nd down and 5. Under 7 minutes to play now, fourth quarter, in what has been a very good football game. Larry, you mentioned it earlier. Certainly the best 11-man state championship game we've seen this weekend. Each of Division 1, 2, and 3 ended up being blowouts by the time it was all said and done. This time it's going to be Giese keeping it himself, and he's across the 40, across midfield as he lowers his shoulder. 1st down for the Cardinals offense.
Yeah, unbalanced belly run by the quarterback. That's been the adjustment here in the second half. That's been a great play for him. Hallettsville's got to recognize that the quarterback is going to reverse out, and there's a pretty good chance he's going to run on it. It's been hurting him right now.
Nice cut, and he left Dalton Grommen in the dirt. 1st and 10 right at midfield. Midway through quarter number 4 in a 2-point football game. Two teams from the same division, two teams from the same county playing for the TAPS Division 4 state championship. St. Paul down by 2. It's going to be Giese to keep it himself again. Kai Giese lowering his shoulder into the chest of Dalton Grommen this time, and Sacred Heart stacks him up and throws him back, give him 3 on the carry, down to the 47.
First contact is made by Dalton Grommen.
That clock just keeps ticking. And if you're Shiner, no need to panic. And if you're Hallettsville, go faster. Go faster. Keep running, clock. Keep running.
Which is a dangerous thing to root for, because depending on whether or not St. Paul can score here, you may not have a whole lot of time left to work with if and when you get the football back. But, of course, the first goal for Sacred Heart is to make a defensive stop and not have any of that matter. Both teams still with 3 timeouts left as there's 5 minutes on the clock. A bobbled snap there for Giese. Disrupted the timing of the play, and he's thrown down in the backfield. Lane Leopold grabbed a hold of his jersey and would not let go. And 2nd and 7 was a disaster, and it's going to be 3rd and 15.
3rd and 15, and you might not, if you have to punt, you might not get the ball back.
Yeah.
Just terrific pursuit and terrific tackle by Leopold. The officials having a word with him there, maybe a little bit of a warning.
Wow, 4 minutes left to go, 3rd and 15. What's your call, Coach Waxman?
Straight eye behind Giese. One receiver to the top of the formation, a tight end on the right-hand side. It's play action. Giese, straight drop, deep over the middle. He's got a man, complete, wide open is Atlee Pilot, inside the 30 to the 24.
I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas.
A huge play out of the Dos Equis playbook. I don't always pass the ball, but when I do, Good things happen.
Gabe Duarte's got the one-liners tonight here in the fourth quarter. Under 4 minutes to play, 16-14 Indians on top, but now St. Paul is threatening. Big hookup from Giese to Atlee Pilot. And it's 1st and 10 at the 25. 8 seconds on the play clock for Giese as he steps under center. And now time not a concern for St. Paul. Giese on the quarterback sweep, this time with nowhere to go, maybe gained a yard.
It'd be interesting to see where they set up these next couple plays. Are they looking to score? Or they're looking to get their kicker in a great spot to kick the field goal to win the game.
That block PAT looming very large in this football game.
Look for more, I think, just belly option here with a quarterback run, a predetermined run.
Talked about it earlier tonight, the field goal that Sam Benish kicked at the end of regulation in their 7th game of this year against Brentwood Christian. They eventually won that game in overtime. Could their season end on a field goal from Sam Benish? Giese turns around on a flag at the snap.
Yeah, they snapped it as they were getting set, going down to their 3-point stance. That's 5-yard play, or that's crucial penalty there.
So 2nd down and 9 will become 2nd and 14.
I refresh my memory here. It was the Shiner kicker we were talking about that had some range, correct?
Yes, sir. Out to about 50 yards for Sam Benish. They were considering kicking a 50-yard field goal in the first half, elected not to late in that second quarter. Ball sitting on the 29-yard line right now. That would be a 46-yarder if they don't get any more yardage here in this drive. 2nd down and 14 as we've ticked under 3 minutes to play in the fourth. Again, both teams still with all 3 timeouts. Giese from under center. Hands off for Zach Johnson. Rather, he's going to keep it himself off the fake, and he's got a lot of running room. Steps through a tackle across the 20, close to first down yardage. He'll be about a yard shy, and it'll be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, that's the play they haven't solved yet. That quarterback see-back play right there. Great blocking out front. Man, it's a beautiful football play, but that's what's hurting Sacred Heart right now. They've got to figure out a way to stop that play. Beware the fullback quick dive right here also on 3rd and short.
Clock ticks down to 2 minutes, fourth quarter. Third down and 1. Giese under center with 4 on the play clock, and they will finally use their first timeout of this second half, rather.
Yeah, he had to. The play clock was running down on him again. It was a 3rd and short, crucial play, and they were trying to rush, and Coach Waxman said, no, we're going to call a timeout and make sure we got exactly what we want called, and everybody's lined up ready to go.
Again, they are well within Sam Benish's field goal range, so a failure to convert here on 3rd and 1. You can't help but think the smart play at that point, if you trust your kicker that much, is to line them up. It would be a short field goal from here. Ball sitting at the 16-yard line. That'd be a 33, maybe 34-yarder, depending on where Kai Giese, their holder, spots the ball. That is well within Benish's range.
Gabe, I see the kicking net on their sideline, but I haven't seen anybody. Have you seen anybody kicking into it?
No, I sure haven't. It's been quite some time.
Sam Benish, number 13, standing on the near sideline at the 35, holding the kicking block and at the ready.
Imagine what's going through his head right now.
3rd and 1, and speaking of what's going through his head, Kai Giese lined up behind the guard there for a moment. Gets lined up, gives it off to Zach Johnson, first down. Flag at the end of the play. Clock will stop at 1:42.
This is going to be a huge call one way or the other.
Yeah, it looks like the initial. It's something on Sacred Heart.
A face mask against the Sacred Heart Indians defense. That's going to be half the distance to the goal, and it's going to be first down and goal from the 7-yard line. Ball sitting right between the 6 and the 7. Clock down now to 1:38. now very clearly, comfortably inside field goal range. And at this point, if you're St. Paul, you're letting that clock tick all the way down to 0 if you can.
Yeah, quarterback. I got a feeling it's going to be a quarterback. Well, no, he's under center.
Benish in the power eye to the left. Pressure in the backfield, but he gets the handoff off to Johnson, close to the end zone, but just shy. It'll be second down and goal from the 1, and now here is where Sacred Heart will wisely use their timeouts to try and conserve what's left of this 113. They had all 3. They've now used their first.
Yeah, they're out of options. What their goal line scheme is now, they've got to get in the gap. They've got to stay low. They've got to penetrate. They cannot let those Shiner kids get off the line of scrimmage. They've got to plug it somehow and get a tackle for no gain or a tackle for loss. But this is where legends are made. This is where, if you want to be talked about 20 years from now, this is where you got to stand up on either side of the football.
16-14. Sacred Heart leads by 2 in the TAPS Division IV state championship game. St. Paul Cardinals offense is driven all the way down the field inside the 2-yard line, and they face second down and goal. A chance to take the lead in the final 90 seconds of a state title game in front of the Cardinals offense right here. 2 timeouts left for the Indians to stop the clock if they do get a stop here defensively to try and conserve time.
Cover every gap, get low, and see what happens here.
Straight eye for Giese, dotted by Johnson. He gets the handoff, lowers his shoulder, into the end zone for the touchdown.
You know, they had him. Contact was made behind the line of scrimmage, and he just kept pumping his legs and took the Sacred Heart defender with him right into the end zone. But the contact was made behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and he was wrapped up well. Johnson was just not going to be denied there. What a great run.
1:08 on the clock, and Zach Johnson with his 3rd touchdown run of the day. All 3 from inside 2 yards. It's a 4-point game right now, and smartly, St. Paul is going to go for 2 and try to make it a 6-point game. They'll call timeout before they do so. That's their 2nd timeout of the half.
Yeah, either way here, it really doesn't matter. They just because it's going to have to take a touchdown no matter what to come back on this. So,
but I think the idea is that if just to force an extra point to beat you, because they've already blocked 1 extra point. If they can get the 2-point conversion here, go up 6. They've blocked 1 extra point. If they give up a touchdown, maybe they can block another and go to overtime. So that's the logic anyway here of going for 2, but of course they've already done the heavy part of the lift by scoring a touchdown to take the lead and go in front 20-16 here.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen this before in a football game, but the Sacred Heart head coach is in a full-blown suit and tie over there on the sideline.
Old school tradition. Love it.
So here comes St. Paul's offense to go for 2 and make it a 6-point advantage. Carson Reese dots the I behind Giese. It's going to be Giese to try and throw for it. Coming to the near side, he throws into the end zone. Did he hang on to it? No, sir, incomplete. It will stay a 4-point St. Paul lead at 20-16.
Well, we've seen some big plays from the Indians, but as we've said throughout the game, both of these teams are run first. So what do you have to do with 1:08 on the clock here if you're Sacred Heart and perhaps getting a little bit away from your comfort zone?
You go deep, deep, deep in the playbook. Something, you know, he's got something that they prepared just for the state championship game. So whatever it is, now's the time.
You know where it has to start because they have the athletes for this. It's got to start on special teams. You want to drive down the football field. A team like Sacred Heart is very much a running football team. You want to score a touchdown in 1:08 down 4 in a state championship game, you need a big chunk of the yardage you need to come on this kickoff return here.
Yeah, they've been squibbing it deep, and they just need to field it cleanly and get a great return.
an effort to combat the squib kicks. They've got 3 men back to return this kick this time. Lane Leopold, Dalton Grum, and Miles Makachek. They're 3 kickoff returners. Waiting on the kick from Sam Benish. With 1:08 on the clock in the fourth quarter and a 4-point game in the Division IV state championship game.
All right, here we go.
Benish will kick it high this time. Deep down the near sideline, fielded at the 15. Here comes Dalton Grumman, and he's taken down immediately. Well defended by St. Paul's coverage team.
I think that was Johnson, 16, who wrapped him up.
As if he hasn't done enough tonight already. 3 touchdown runs on the night, including the lead-taking score just moments ago. So call it 1:03 on the clock in the fourth. And the ball on the 17-yard line. And here comes Austin Kutak and the Sacred Heart Indians offense. A team that was 2-5 to start the season had to forfeit a football game because they didn't have enough bodies. Now playing for a state title and trying to drive downfield and win a game, Kutak has to throw it out of bounds on 1st and 10. Had a man down that sideline, but good coverage from the Cardinals defense, and it will be 2nd down.
And nothing there. They had a spy on him, so there was no place for him to run upfield. Just wisely threw it out. Let's draw something else up here and try to get something going on 2nd down.
7 seconds come off the clock on that play, down to 56 on the ticker. It'll be 4 wide receivers for Kutak. That is shotgun. St. Paul rushes 3, and that ball's knocked down. Looking for a flag is Will Harper. He doesn't get one. It'll be 3rd and 10. Down to 49 seconds on the clock. Frankly, the clock doesn't matter if they can't pick up any yardage here. Need to get a 1st down to kind of get some sort of momentum rolling here on what they hope will be a game-winning touchdown drive. Look at this formation on 3rd down and 10. And very quickly, a timeout from Jake Walksmith.
Yeah, did you see who was eligible? The center. The way they lined up right there, number 10 was going to snap the ball, and he was the guy that was going to be eligible. He was not covered up. So better timeout management this time by Shiner that they were able to call a timeout and talk about it.
49 seconds on the clock. That's the final timeout for the St. Paul Cardinals. 2 still left for the Indians. But the ball still sits on the 17-yard line after 2 plays of this possession. They have not been able to move it over the course of these 14 seconds that they've had it. Still 83 yards away from a lead-taking score.
Yeah, I had an assistant coach would call this right now, hey, Coach, what are you going to call? It's 3rd and season. And that's really what we're at right here. This has been a great game. I've been incredibly impressed by both of these teams, the way they've been coached up, the adjustments they've made. This has been an outstanding football game. It's a shame that somebody has to come up a little short here.
And they're going to come out in this swinging gate formation once again.
Same look. Center can go out for a pass.
And that's exactly what will happen. They throw it over the middle, and it's knocked down. Miles Makachek was there, but the defense came in at the last possible moment, knocked the football away, and it'll be 4th and 10.
Yeah, it looked like that pass was maybe just a little bit slow coming out of there.
Gerard Nunez, the defender on the play.
A little high maybe was the issue there.
Yeah, this is it. You get to stop here. The golden football is yours.
Manny Freeland, the head coach, also the offensive coordinator for Sacred Heart, trying to draw something up on 4th down and 10. Season on the line, and he's going to call timeout after he gets a Polaroid of this St. Paul defense. And they'll think a little harder about what they do on the play that will potentially define this football game.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't need to score here. They just need to get a 1st down, and the clock will stop. They can come up, line up, they can clock it. He still has 1 timeout left after this. Don't think touchdown here, just think, let's get first down. Anything I've got that can get me 10 yards, I've got to execute that play right now and get out of bounds. That'd help too, because that way he can keep his timeout.
A team led by a bunch of seniors, but also a bunch of sophomores, including a sophomore quarterback, Austin Kutak, in a tough spot right here. 4th and 10. His heels on his own 10-yard line. He'll have 5 wide receivers in the set, 4 of them in a bunch on the top of the formation. On 4th and 10 from the 17, Kutak steps up in the pocket, looking deep over the middle. He's got a man behind the defense. He connects across midfield.
Oh, my goodness.
Will Harper, the ball comes out at the end of the play. They're going to say he's down on that play. Will Harper on 4th and 10 connects. Austin Kutak finds him. 34 seconds on the clock. They've stopped it for the moment. I don't think they've called their timeout, but the officials are discussing.
Let somebody know what's going on, because Sacred Heart needs to snap it and stop the clock if they can.
Bernard Gray saying sideline warning. So there was a flag behind the play. It is only a warning. There's no yardage attached to it. This is the first time this has happened today, but they've got to be on the ball because they will wind the clock, and it is moving now down to 30. It was at 34 when it was paused. They'll snap it with 4 wide receivers for Kutak. Steps to his right. Looking deep downfield, throws it up the sideline, incomplete. 20 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, they've got a timeout, so they don't need to wait for something to develop way downfield. Get that ball. You got 3 plays here, unless he tries to extend the play with his feet. If he does that, he better get something in the end zone, because there's times working against him right now.
34 yards away from a state championship winning touchdown. 20 seconds to find it for Austin Kutak and the Sacred Heart Indians offense. It'll be Kutak in shotgun. 4 wides, 3 to the top of the formation, and Leopold in the backfield with him. Kutak all day, looks deep down the sideline into triple coverage, intercepted, picked off by St. Paul, and the Cardinals, with 13 seconds on the clock, can celebrate a TAPS Division IV state championship. The interception seals it with 13 to play. Cade Davis makes the interception. High fives and hugs on the sideline at the 25. What a moment for that young man. And St. Paul's defense closes the door, and they're a kneel down away from a title.
Great look at it there by our AV team.
And the kneel down for Sam Giese and the St. Paul Cardinals. 20-16, the final score. And they are heading back to Shiner with a championship.
Gentlemen, that was a pleasure to experience this game. That was one heck of a football game.
20-16, the final score. Zach Johnson with 3 short touchdown runs, the hero today for St. Paul. And the interception late by Cade Davis to end it. And Shiner St. Paul in a matchup of 2 teams from 15 miles apart that had played earlier this season in another fantastic football game. This one even better. And St. Paul with a 20-16 win to claim the championship. What a football game. What a moment for these kids.
I thought the sophomore had some mojo going. He converted a 4th and 10 to keep that drive alive, just to get his team down close enough to attempt to get the ball in the end zone. I wasn't for sure if they're going to be close enough to even make it there at the end. And, man, some resiliency out of that Sacred Heart team to even make it really, really exciting there in that last play.
No doubt. Sacred Heart deserves a ton of credit for the way that they made their way through this season. Again, a team that was 2-5 to start the year, had to forfeit a football game in the early portions of this season because they were so injured they didn't have enough healthy bodies to play. Bounced back from all of that won their way into the state championship game, and they come up just short of a state title because their rivals from 14 miles down the road, St. Paul, stood in their way. A touchdown with 1 minute and 8 seconds on the clock in the fourth quarter from Zach Johnson.
Absolutely nothing not to like about this rivalry, about this final. Two district rivals, familiar foes for years and years. I mean, it's the Montagues and the Capulets, and ends just as dramatically. Just a fantastic game here.
That's one of the things I love about this. In the Metroplex or in the Houston area, you may have neighbors that go to different schools, but this is towns that go to that school, and it just feels different. This was fun.
We talked about it off the top. These two towns know each other very well. Don't particularly like each other very much, and it's said in a joking manner, of course, but some of the parents and even brothers and sisters that we came across earlier today, as they were all making their way into the stadium for the final championship of the weekend here at Panther Stadium, they say, don't get it twisted. We don't like each other very much. We may know each other. We may be from close by one another, but we don't like each other very much. And these two teams fought it out for a state title today, but St. Paul comes out on top by 4 points in what was a classic old school football game.
And that's the great thing about this game that I love. These seniors are going to go off to college. Some of them are going to go to school with the kid from the other team, and they're going to be talking about this game. Hey, do you remember when we played together in that state championship game? It's going to be memories that they have for a lifetime. One team came up short, but we kind of forget these rivalries as we get older, and they see each other on campus somewhere, and you just appreciate the fact that you had a chance to play in a big game like this. Now, the St. Paul kids will never forget that they won state, though. But,
that is for sure. Runner-up medals and plaques being handed out on the far side to the Sacred Heart Indians.
Yeah, I know it hurts. Keep your heads up. You guys played your hearts out.
That's one of those things I feel like they'll look back on years from now. In that moment, you want no part of having that medal put over your head. You just fought for 3 hours to try and win a state championship game and came up painfully short. You don't want that medal in the moment. You'll be proud of it 5 years from now when you think back about what this football team did. Meanwhile, speaking of pride, fittingly, Zach Johnson hoisting it in the air and Noah Bedecker as well. A championship trophy for St. Paul.
Back to back.
And if you're a senior on this team who happened to play for Shiner when you were a freshman, this is your third out of 4 years.
That's amazing. That's impressive.
And the Gatorade bath to match for Jake Walksmith. He got one. They're going to go for two.
Hey, go for get another one. It's 3 and 4.
He got the Gatorade bath, and then he got all the ice. That one hurts a little bit, but he's not feeling that pain right now. Celebrating the state championship for the second straight year. Shiner St. Paul taps Division IV state champs and celebrating on this near sideline. Special moment for these kids as they earn it with a touchdown in the final minute and a half. Last year it was an 8-point win over Lake Country Christian in the title game. This year, half that margin. And what a good way to finish the weekend off, fellas. We got spoiled by some good football all this weekend. I know the final score of each of the first 3 divisions, the final score was lopsided. None of those 3 games were blowouts midway through the third quarter. Those games were all close for a while. They were all tightly contested for a while. Ultimately, the better team asserted themselves and pulled away. But we got 4 good football games this weekend in the 11-man and 3 really good football games on Thursday as well in 6-man football. Championship weekend here at Panther Stadium was a special 3 days.
Yeah, and the weather, the weather today, I'm telling you right now, if I'm not up here in the booth, I'm getting a bag of popcorn and I'm bringing my son. We're going to sit in the bleachers all day and watch some incredible football. The product that Taps is putting out on the field, just absolutely, this was good football all week. We had D1 players, D2 players, NAI players, incredibly well-coached teams. These guys, both sidelines, they can go anywhere and coach and be successful. They are just good football coaches. Just really impressed with what we saw over these last 3 days.
And to the folks at Midway ISD, a fantastic job hosting this event. the great facility here for this event, and everybody that we've run into has just been fantastic hosts for us. Special tip of the cap to the audio-video people who've done a fantastic job bringing us all these shots.
Amen.
And Mike, you're a pro. It's been fun watching you. Just the amount of work you put in to get yourself prepared for a game. I've been absolutely impressed. Great job. You've got you're a pro. You're good at this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to do, and we had 3 very fun days here at Midway ISD's Panther Stadium. 7 state championships. Take a quick look back at what we did see over the course of the last 3 days. First with the Division 3, 2, and 1 6-man state championship games. Heritage with a 46-26 win over Weatherford Christian in Division 3 6-man football. D2 6-man Harvest Christian 60-52 over New Braunfels Christian. Gabe, you were with me for that one. If it's not this game that we just saw between St. Paul and Sacred Heart, that might have been the game of the weekend. That was fantastic and a lot of fun. And Leo Gerst darn near willed his team to a state championship that night. And then in the Division I title game that night, Emory Weiner with a 31-20 win over Lake Hill Prep. Parish Episcopal 42-14 over JP2 on Friday at noon in the D1 title game. Trinity Christian Cedar Hill made it 3 straight state championships with a 48-19 win over Austin Regents last night. And then the 2 games we saw today, Bernie Geneva 49-18 in a dominant performance against Lubbock Christian. And then the game you just witnessed, an absolute barn burner between Sacred Heart and St. Paul, and the Cardinals with a 20-16 win to earn a 2nd consecutive state championship. Again, to me, it's between this game and that 6-man game, Harvest Christian and New Braunfels Christian. That game was wild, 60-52 final, but good games all around, all through the weekend.
Yeah, this was just a treat. This was a lot of fun. Learned a lot, too, as a coach. You get different ideas on how teams prepare and the adjustments they made.
Yeah.
This was fascinating, and taking a lot of notes and a lot of good stuff away from this, too. Every TAPS football coach in the state needs to get their rear ends in the stands and watch these games and watch these guys that are having outstanding years finish off their seasons.
Gabe, your final thoughts before we say goodbye for the final broadcast of the weekend.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Fantastic football throughout. It's just been a real treat to be a part of it. And again, thanks to the folks at Midway. Thanks to the folks at TAPS. Thanks for all their work, all the food. Good Lord, I feel like I had 3 consecutive Thanksgiving dinners here throughout the last 3 days.
Amen.
It's just been a real pleasure to be a part of this, to watch some fantastic football and just really be entertained.
And with that, championship weekend here at Panther Stadium is in the books. Our final score of Game 7 of 7, 20-16, as the St. Paul Cardinals win a 2nd consecutive state championship against Sacred Heart. Our thanks to the entire TAPS TV team, our producer in the booth, Will Dixon, the director of media for TAPS TV, John Skees, the associate director of TAPS is Steve Perdam, and the executive director of TAPS is Brian Bunselmeyer. Also, one final shout-out to Midway ISD's AV program under the leadership of Caleb Overstreet and Tanya Lacey, bringing us the pictures all through this weekend. They did a fantastic job bringing you guys the action here on TAPS TV. For Matt Tarbutton, Larry Thexton, and Gabe Duarte here with me in the booth, I'm Mike Leslie. We hope you'll join us next year for the TAPS TV State Championships. I've been so used to saying we hope you'll join us over the course of the last 3 days. There's nothing left. We're done. Thank you so much for joining us here on TAPS TV for 3 days worth of 7 championships. This was a blast for me, gentlemen. It was a blast working with you guys and calling these 7 games. And thank you guys so much at home for joining us. One final time, so long from Panther Stadium after a 20-16 St. Paul win to earn a 2nd straight state championship.